Here we go again, everybody. Welcome to a new live episode of Off the Rack. I am Sal.
I'm Tiffany.
So we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but if you're watching the show after the fact, you'll never know. So we'll address it later. But for now, I want to talk about the fact that we just got back from San Diego Comic-Con. We are jet lagged, but I think we're managing.
Apparently, so is the equipment.
Yeah, right. So is the equipment. We'll get into that in a minute. But for now, we want to mention the show is normally about the latest and greatest in comic books and comic book news. We're going to talk about some comic book news. Usually, this is a comic book review show. We take comics the past week, we recap and review them. But this week, we're going to talk specifically about two big things: the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. We're going to review it. We're going to talk about the movie itself and give it its flowers. And of course, after that, we're going to talk about one particular announcement, and I'm sure it'll be tangentially connected to a few other announcements from Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con this past weekend, which we returned from. We did not go to Hall H, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. So we're going to talk about those two big things, and they'll probably connect to other things as well.
There were a lot of things that happened.
There are a lot of things that, there's a ton of things that happened at San Diego Comic-Con and in comics in general. I mean, DC had a huge Absolute Comics / Absolute Power all-in panel, which we were actually at, and that was really fun. We can talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely.
But we could talk about that more in depth later on. There's plenty of other ways to talk about those specific things, and I think people really want to hear about those things and want us to get into it. And I don't want to just touch upon it and then never address it ever again.
Okay.
So for now, I should mention this show is sponsored by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, you can sponsor today's show and use super chats, ask a question or comment we're ready here on the show. Or if you don't have Scratch, that's no big deal. The best way to help sponsor today's show and every show on this channel, ComicPop Returns, is to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. You'll know when we're going live, and you can join us when the show is live, so that you can be here for the fun. The people in the chat are always super fun and respectful and cool, and it's a good time that's had by all. And of course, if you go to this video and every video here on this channel, ComicPop Returns, you can go in the description, you can find a Discord link, you can join the Discord for free, no requirements. However, there is a private Discord chat within that Discord for patrons. So if you go to patreon.com/ComicPop, you can help support ComicPop on a regular basis, but also have access to talking to those folks. It's kind of like it's a little bit like the United Club at the airport. Everyone's going to the airport, everybody flies, it's all a miserable experience, but for those patrons, a little room over there. we got free mini muffins over there. But
we do?
Well, virtual of that, and hopefully one day, I'm very, I'm keen to do this, and I think this is the year /2025 is the year for this. We're fine. The comic book YouTube channel equivalent of mini muffins or free mini muffins in the lounge.
Okay.
We launched a ComicPop store, and that was mentioned last week on Off the Rack.
Yes.
It's over. We sold everything. It's completely sold out.
It was a drop.
It was a drop. We sold
we
sold the
those
whole
mini muffins.
Yeah, we dropped those mini muffins. But that's something I've been wanting to do forever. I've always wanted a store. This is the way to speak in Mandalorian.
Because there were so many Mandalorians.
There's so many Mandalorians at this show. But this is the way, I think, of shopping online today, like at least when it comes to like niche and boutique-esque marketplaces for like fan-based stuff.
Yes.
So I want to thank you guys, the community out there, particularly from this show, because that's where we dropped first, for helping to make that possible. And I want to apologize, particularly to our patrons, for them getting the news later.
It's like the complete opposite of how it's supposed to go.
I know, but
we
Patreon.
know what we're doing.
But with the patrons, I do have plans for you guys and a little discount.
Mini muffin
we
plan.
will work it out. Yes, you will get the mini muffin equivalent.
Can we be honest?
Yeah, I'd love that. We are always honest here on the show.
I don't think I love mini muffins.
Kevin James had an amazing bit about 25 years ago about mini muffins and how terrible they are. Well, it's like, because it's just like, oh yeah, they fill me right up. It's like having aspirin. Like, hey, I got a mini muffin. Oh, I got a blueberry on that one. I got a blueberry.
Okay, so here's the thing about the mini muffin, and this is nothing to do with anything. It's just literally a tangent.
Oh yeah, they're just not very good overall.
They're not, because like they're either one of two things. They're either too
Too
dry
wet.
or they're too oily. And
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
right.
What happened?
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of the mini muffin.
But I always want one.
I used to have them when I was a kid. There was a pouch. There was a very plastic, hermetically sealed pouch full of just moist mini muffins that had like a blueberry in each.
Wait, like the little bag?
The little bag.
Okay, yeah, those aren't mini muffins. I don't know what those are, but I do like those.
They are small muffins. I don't know what else you
They're
call
not
them.
muffins. They're not muffins. They're just some sort of oily cake, and I want that.
Yes.
I will eat that. I like that. But like, if you put out like little mini muffins, 9 times out of 10, I'm like, I don't think you're going to be good, but
No.
I'm gonna eat you anyway.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. The mini muffin is a trick.
But I should mention before we get into
Little bites. That's
the
it.
big announcements, we should get our DC news out of the way. Obviously,
Yeah,
they did talk about the Absolute Universe and Batman and
Yes.
the Trinity from the
Yes.
new Dark Side inspired Absolute Universe. I don't want to go too in depth about it,
No, I feel like we should talk about it.
but we should talk about it a little bit.
Because, like, here's the thing. Everyone's talking about Marvel this weekend.
That's right.
Because of the MCU.
And they're gonna.
But the fact is, between the two of them, one of them came to the show to talk about movies, and one of them came to the show to talk about comics. And like, it's really unfortunate that like the comic side of it isn't getting as much hype.
Well, it's funny because in the beginning of the weekend,
well, yeah,
DC was dominating the show, and I remember
DC was dominating.
The conversation was very much. So what did Marvel announce? And I was like, oh, there's a new Spider-Girl. You know,
we all
Marvel
knew,
Comics announcements were non-existent.
But we all knew that like they had their Hall H coming up, so we knew there was going to be an MCU something.
Well, when Galactus literally ascended from Petco Park Stadium, and threatened to eat us, we knew huge announcements were coming, and that Marvel was right. They came to play.
Yes.
And by the way, if you haven't already seen it, we missed it. We were actually out. We were at a party at that time on the other side. So we missed the drone show, but I've seen it since then. And if you haven't already looked it up, it's spectacular. But I can't even imagine how amazing that must have felt to see the 4 lit up as though Johnny Storm was making it in the sky. That would have been really awesome.
Yeah, Marvel got it. Now let's talk about, can I really quickly I don't want, like, we got so much time.
We have so much to talk about.
We only have so much time, right? So like, can we just really quickly talk about the fact that like we were in the panel, the All Absolute Power / All In panel. We actually went to that one. We rarely go to panels. We went to that one. In that panel, the room was pretty full. Like, it was almost entirely full.
No, it was standing room only. There was no place to sit.
People were there for that panel. They wanted to know more, but like every time like they announced something or they talked about something, except for maybe like a couple of like the images that they put up there, there wasn't a whole lot of whatchamacallit, like excitement.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the spoilers.
Yeah.
So I think we'd be having a different conversation if everyone had gone into this spoiler free without having Scott and Josh have to make that video before San Diego Comic-Con.
Absolutely.
And instead, if the panel had been about them announcing it, then like DC would feel like they had a bit more stacked up again. Like comic book fans would be like, oh, great, cool. Look, we got like this MCU thing. We also got like this cool DC Comics drop. Now, there were some other things that DC did bring to the table. But like you could feel it in the room where people were just like, yeah, I know.
Right. Yeah. People came because they were excited about the creators. They were excited about the news. I think they were also excited at the possibility of getting that ash can.
Oh, well, yeah.
But yeah, the news was already there. You know, the only thing that they hadn't seen was some of the character designs and more art for the other 2 out of the Trinity.
Yeah, and it did confirm a bunch of stuff. And obviously, like you saw, I took some photos there because we were encouraged to take photos, but not video of the panel. People still took video anyway if they were asked not to, but whatever. But like, you know, like they used to like Batman's like Frenchie. We saw Alfred. We saw the fact that you know, we got confirmation that Wonder Woman is going to have a lot more like magic base. They're like words that came out of people's mouths were things like equal parts warrior, equal parts witch. I was like, yeah, did you write this?
Wonder Woman the Witch. What?
Did you write this just for me? Thank you.
Right?
Thank you so much. Hayden Sherman on art for that. Yes.
Yeah, and it looks
Dark
great.
Dungeon doing his thing, 100%. You know, we got some hints of some Superman stuff. Having Jason Aaron there was nice. I didn't know he currently lives in Kansas.
Yeah. Well, he's yeah.
All right. Like I was like, that's really cool. We got a little more, you know, information about that. Brazil was mentioned.
Yes. The first fight's going to take place in Brazil in the Wonder Woman book.
A lot of in Superman.
In Superman, that's right.
Like a lot of stuff coming out of that. And then of course there was the Flash, like ta-da, Flash team, yay. And then later on we got the like Green Lantern team, yay.
Yes.
But it felt like they didn't really have much prep for that, but because it felt like they just were like, we have to show something.
Yeah.
Also, like during the panel itself, they wanted to show this trailer, and like tech was against them. I mean, you saw what happened like with our show today. We had some tech problems. It happened.
I don't blame
but
you.
like it was like, so you had like them leading into this, having to like do this video clearly they didn't plan to do before San Diego Comic-Con. So like the rug had already been pulled out from them, the wind taken from their sails as they were launching into this, and then the trailer doesn't go off. Like it's just, I felt bad.
But people were excited anyway.
Excited. They wanted the freebies, but I could only imagine what it would have been like for them to actually like live announce.
Yeah.
Because the panel was structured in such a way where clearly it was supposed to be like, this is all about Mark Waid's absolute power, and like,
then
what's this happening? But like we all kind of knew in our heart of hearts when you saw the extra mic set up there what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and the fact that Josh was on the panel in the beginning and then
yeah.
and then didn't say anything until everybody showed up.
So it's like, you know, like it would have come out anyway. You know, it just sucks that it had to come out initially through spoilers, because all that did was help one individual or a few individuals like get some clicks, I guess, or some money or whatever. I don't know.
I hope that that it provided that.
Yeah.
But so in addition to that, they also and this is again like, you know, only kind of neat because I just think it's neat, but James Gunn was not there but did send virtual stuff, which is always lame. But they revealed the new DC Studios logo and the logo for DC going forward. It's across the gamut. It's not just going to be DC Studios, DC Comics, DC Animation, DC everything. Just the way that Marvel did. But unlike Marvel, this logo is great. So they also revealed the like new little animated intro for DC Studios, like what you're going to see before the movie starts. You know how the Marvel had that amazing page flipping.
Yeah.
This is what DC is going to have. And so I'm just going to share it. I'm just going to put it up here right now.
Ooh, we're doing it.
This is what it does. This is what they're doing. And look at that logo.
Nice. Now, does that mean that theoretically they can put a different character in there based on whose movie it is? Do you think that they're going to just always have it be Superman because he's kind of like the
right? He's the archetype. He's the mascot.
Yeah.
I honestly think that it's just going to be Superman the whole time.
Okay.
And but I also like the idea of it being different characters. For me, though, I love the idea of it being Superman, and the fact that it's like 30s Superman is their way of being like, we invented the original superhero.
Yeah.
Superman is our logo.
Sure. Okay.
And he gets to be because he's the first.
Right.
You know, just like the way that Marvel could get away with, and in fact did during like Muppet Babies time, making Spider-Man the logo. Okay. Basically, you know, Marvel Enterprises or Marvel Entertainment just a big Spider-Man on it. It's like, yeah, that's what you do. You know, but it would make sense in a post-MCU world, you know, you switch it up, put everybody in there. That's why the new Marvel Studios logo puts everybody in there and seems to favor characters that might be more centered around each project into that logo. Like they can switch it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it as is, but I would also like it if they mixed it up. Maybe a little classic Detective Comics 27 Batman swinging through. Sure. If it's a Batman project or, you know, classic Hal Jordan, something like that for a Green Lantern project, that'd be neat. Right? I'm down for either.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing that we wanted to mention that's DC related is, of course, Tiffany got her copy of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow in hardcover edition. This thing that they definitely were never going to make before there was a movie, but now because there is a movie, we're all better for it. We get this beautiful hardbound extra content edition, oversized, I believe. It's a little bigger than the trade paperback.
It's gorgeous.
And it is beautiful. The printing's great. The dust jacket's great. It comes with supplemental material, variant covers, alternate covers, character sketches.
These are alternate covers that Bilkus went through.
Yes.
So you can see ones that like you can see process. You can see where an idea for some of them might have been used later.
Yep.
There's page thumbnails.
And page script pages. If you've caught this channel before, if you watched the Elseworlds Exchange, our sister show, where we also talk to creators and ourselves about any number of topics, Tom mentioned that he wrote an entire issue and then threw it out, and over I think a period of like 24 hours wrote a new script that ended up being, I think, one of your favorite issues of the entire series. And so that thrown away script is also featured in this edition as well. So definitely check that out and pick it up if you haven't already. It's available on Amazon now. It's at your local comic book store if you want to get it there, but it's out. You don't have to worry about picking it up or pre-ordering it. It's out now.
And anyone ever do this? I do. all the time.
Oh, take off the dust jacket and just
Yep.
look at like the binding and how beautiful it is.
Well, I
and-
like to see what art they've chosen if they choose to put anything on there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
The printing is so great.
Some of the longest supporters of the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow series, so I thought we'd bring that up again.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, of course. So let's jump into our first story of the evening. But before we do, I should mention that the show is sponsored by viewers like you. Use the super chats, ask a question, a comment, or you're here on the show. Also, what was the other thing? Oh, we also do recommendations. So we're going to recommend comics at the end of the show. So stick around if you still love comics and you want to know what's coming out this week, or you want to hear our opinions about them.
Yeah.
We will not have a book of the week because there isn't one, because we didn't talk about books.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair. So we're just going to talk about instead this.
Did Helen of Windhorn come out this past week?
I don't believe. Yeah, I think it actually. I think
Then
it
it was
did.
Helen
So
of Windhorn.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine takes precedence, baby. Sean Levy's massive magnum opus third installment.
Are we going to do this first? You can do spoilers like before we talk about the other stuff, so that people because people don't want to.
No, we're going to talk. We're going to give our like non.
But I mean, like, don't you want to talk about the other news first?
Oh, yeah. I guess we could do that. Yeah. All right. Well,
I'm
we'll
taking
save.
over the show, everybody.
All
I
right.
think we do this the other way around. That way, folks who haven't seen it yet. Don't leave yet.
Mhm.
Don't leave yet. We're going to talk about other news first. I mean, we're going to save the spoiler stuff for
All
the
right,
end
all
of
right.
the show.
So Galactus looming over San Diego Comic-Con was a good indication that Fantastic Four was going to be the talk of the town.
I love that that's where it is for you. We were walking around, and I don't know if you've ever heard of a thing called a mall banner, but if you're ever walking along, you see like a street lamp and it has like a little like
Flag.
thing and like a long rectangular flag. That's a mall banner.
Mm-hmm.
So mall banners up around the city, they're Fantastic Four themed, right? And I'm like, so that's what they're going to show in
Yeah,
Hall H,
Fantastic
right?
Four is going
Like,
to
I'm
be
like,
dominating the Marvel news.
I'm like, so I have to assume we're going to see something.
the cast will be there.
Something like that, right?
Mhm.
And in fact, my understanding is yes, they did see
All those
some,
things happen.
Some footage.
Yes, we there was a little teaser trailer they cut together, or like a sizzle reel. There was also the Fantastic Car flew over the Hall residence, which was neat, I guess. We had that drone show, and and also, you know, I guess if you want to mention it, Thunderbolts, they were there too.
Yeah,
But
which I mean is fun.
Good for them.
You know, it's only fun because it's like, you know, I feel like right now they're going to be either like a sleeper movie for a lot of people.
the Thunderbolts,
Yeah,
you got to promote it
or
in
not
some
movie,
way.
but like team up
Definitely.
kind of thing. You know, like I feel like Sam Wilson's upcoming movie
Yes,
is gonna be overshadowed by a lot of other projects.
Oh yeah, people will go. I think with the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, because it's easy to say it's successful,
Without spoiling anything, yeah.
but also the mega announcements from Hall H about the future of the MCU. More people will be inclined to see this new Captain America movie than hadn't before.
Right, but it won't be on its laurels.
No, it'll be
so, like,
about maybe indicating what's to come.
Right, so I feel bad about that. So it's nice that they were there and like there is still excitement and good for them. So anyway,
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, and we also talked about how we believed that Giancarlo Esposito was going to play one character in the Captain America movie, but it turns out he is not. He'll be a member of the Serpent Society. Cool.
Who did you think of it?
I thought it was I don't remember. But yeah, so anyway, it was spectacular. I've seen the video from Hall H where they announced it, but they talked about, you know, how basically they just threw all of Kang out the window.
Yeah,
they're just done. They're not going to do that, which is a good idea. I definitely suggested it in the first place. The hall was clear, or the stage was clear. They filled the room or the hall with or the stage with a bunch of Doctor Dooms, or just folks in green robes with Doctor Doom masks on, and then one emerged with a much more striking green adornment, wearing a mask, and revealed himself to be Robert Downey Jr. So Robert Downey Jr. will be playing Doctor Doom in the MCU and headlining this new Avengers movie, which went from Kang Dynasty to now Avengers 5 Doomsday.
Yeah.
That is the name of the movie, and obviously they're going to be focusing that movie on the introduction of Doctor Doom. I don't recall which comes first, whether it's Fantastic Four or Avengers 5. I assume Fantastic Four will come out first, since the movie's being shot now.
Yeah.
Whereas Avengers 5, I would be surprised if there is even a script.
Yeah.
So we'll get Fantastic Four, we'll get Doctor Doom. Presumably Doctor Doom will appear, and based on this announcement, Robert Downey Jr. will be Doctor Doom in that movie. So yeah, the reaction from the gentry who heard about it secondhand was the exact opposite of the reaction from the Hall. You watched that video and it was electric. I've rarely seen a more explosive reaction to news in my life than people reacting to Robert Downey Jr. taking his mask off and revealing that he's Dr. Doom.
Well, and you can say it's a couple of things. One, the folk we were around when we found that out were all people who read comic books, right?
Yes.
Two, Hall H is filled with a lot of folk who are just, in general, they like the MCU. Maybe they don't read the comics themselves, but they like the movies. Three, it is Robert Downey Jr. It was not supposed to be
physically
here.
being in the
He's
room is pretty
physically
exciting.
in the room, right? You know, like I almost had a meltdown when I was physically in the same space, like at least mentally, with Junji Ito, right? Where I'm just like, oh my god, he's right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you're in the
regardless
room,
of context, who cares?
Yeah.
It's just he's here now with me.
Right?
Yeah, it's
so
gonna be
like,
exciting.
You do have a lot going on there, but like, you know, there's an excitement to that. You're also in a space with a lot of like-minded people.
Oh, and you've been there for hours. You've been waiting for some news. You're hoping for something exciting. You know, you've been hyping yourself up probably overnight.
Yeah.
Yes, the audience. This is the audience to announce something too.
Yeah, like they're prepped for this. There is an electricity.
Yes.
You know, even in the lines, like when you see people going for Hall H, they're not like doing so begrudgingly.
No.
They're excited. They want to be there, and they're around people who want to.
Yeah, they want to be part of a watershed moment.
Yeah, so it's like they're excited for this. They're there for the moment.
Yeah,
and this was their moment. So like they're excited for a lot of things.
Yeah, and it's
right?
earned. It was a moment that was exciting in the moment, whether it matters that it's good or not, or exciting or not, or cool or not.
Yeah.
So yeah. The reaction, though, from ComicPop, I haven't asked 50% of what ComicPop thinks about it, but this 50%, I can.
ComicPop Returns.
Yeah, ComicPop Returns. Yeah, ComicPop Returns. 100% of ComicPop Returns is telling you what they think about.
But the other two.
Yeah, I haven't asked what Ben and Ethan think about this, but I'm sure they couldn't care less. In this case, you know, it's funny. My initial reaction, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see. I immediately said, "This sucks."
Yeah,
that was my knee-jerk reaction. No, I didn't want to spoil anything, so I just said, "Wow, that sucks," and it got an obscene amount of engagement. And I didn't see a lot of dissent outside of Rob subtweeting me, being like, "I can't believe some people think that this sucks," and I'm like, "All right, Rob, I see you." But yeah, I will say that I slept on it, and not that I love it, but I want to see it. That's the difference, right? Because I am of two minds of this situation. I really want to see it.
Yeah.
And the MCU is dead.
Okay.
Right? Like the MCU is dead.
Yeah.
Because here's the two things, right? And it actually has a lot to do. It does kind of inform my feelings on Deadpool and Wolverine as well. But But the MCU is pretty much dead. And here's why. Because they announced two movies, Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. They're both going to be made by the Russo brothers. The Russo brothers also came out. They're going to do an Infinity War and Endgame type of deal. It's two movies. They lean into each other. Secret Wars, obviously, they were like, we need Doctor Doom for Secret Wars, which means we're going to do the Hickman Secret Wars, or at least some variation on it. So we're going to do a reboot. Like, there's going to be some kind of a soft reboot in here. The fact that, like, the Fox universe is and has been dead, and yet Deadpool is not only a viable but thriving and potentially Spider-Man-esque franchise for Marvel, suggests that Fox may be a little less dead than we thought. And while the momentum of the MCU was propelled, I think, by and large, with the expectations and hope of the audience seeing Marvel's version of the Fox properties. Marvel, and by extension Hollywood, is in a very different mindset.
Yeah.
And it tells me, all of this tells me, that they're much less interested in like making it work or going back, despite the fact they got Robert Downey Jr. It's like going back and reapplying what worked, going back to the drawing board and just making it the way it should be or the way that it has worked in the past, and instead go just it's short-term gains, it's big time announcements, it's just getting in and making the money and getting out. Like proto/fledgling MCU/Marvel Studios was very comfortable making a nice profit and leveraging that profit into snowballing their studio. Whereas this is more about, listen, the first weekend of Deadpool and Wolverine outgrossed the entire theatrical run of the Marvels. Wow. We need to make these movies make obscene money because they cost obscene money. And as opposed to learning the lesson of don't spend obscene amounts of money, the entire first 10 years of your franchise suggests that that's not the formula to follow. This is the formula following. It's just, it is more apparent to me that Disney has completely infected like the thinking and processes of the MCU. Not to say that Disney's like evil or terrible or bad at business. I'm not a grifter who's trying to use the buzzwords of Disney and bad to try and get shekels out of the audience. But Disney has a formula and a way of doing business, and it ain't what, folk are comfortable with.
May I just offer a counterpoint?
Why not?
Okay, so as Sal stated, like we both had the same reaction, like, oh, that's a shame.
Like, oh.
There's so many other actors that could have been selected. And then, as you mentioned, like you slept on it. And like, so did I. And I've come around not to having a different idea of the casting. I still feel like, oh, that's a shame.
It is a shame.
But, how you feel about where the MCU is right now, and 9 times out of 10 Sal is usually correct about these things, so I'm more or less just offering another
counterpoint
so that if you're feeling like this in the audience, like you're not alone in thinking these things, even if we end up being incorrect as we normally are. But to me it feels like, since we are bringing the Russos back in, it feels like Feige is in a more of a nostalgia state right now. And perhaps if we are talking reboot, he's like, well, then why don't we end where we began with Robert Downey Jr.?
That's fair.
You know what I mean? We've killed off his character, so it's really hard for us to do that. But like, he's the reason we have what we have. Right. And so maybe it's just like a strange bit of poetry that can be sold to Disney higher ups because it is Robert Downey Jr.
Right, because it's going to cost them billions to get him back.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an understatement, because, he always had a percentage. He has made, I think, billions off of that franchise. It's going to cost more to bring him back.
Right, but you know what I mean? How like we've heard things about how like they haven't considering how things have been going, that they were like really like reconsidering things, and like, pandemic and all of that and the whole Kang thing, it really like gave them an opportunity to be like,
yeah, we're not invincible.
We're not invincible at all. It's just such a strange, like it's an obvious choosing to some degree, but also not.
No.
Because you could have done any other stunt casting and it could have also gotten an incredible
Well, they could have done the exact same thing, but they could have said who's going to be the next Iron Man and then just said it's Robert Downey Jr. Like, they could have done that and it would have gotten the exact same amount of reaction. The Doctor Doom thing is also getting people talking. People being like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. is back. Okay, great. Like that. And then the conversation's over.
Right.
But he's Dr. Doom. What does that mean? How does that affect everything else?
And like, they can be like, well, there's a direct tie via comics. Like, it's all there. But like, part of me kind of hopes that it comes from an origin point of like
story.
RDJ was right there at the beginning with us. And like, when we close out this chapter, let's have him there with us again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should also point out, like, with respect to bringing the Russos in.
Yeah.
All the names that they have been tossing out there for Kang Dynasty and for Secret Wars, I have not enjoyed. Like, I'm like, look, the Russo brothers nailed it. They know how to make a great Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And they know how to balance character and plot and coalesce it. And that's something that I was very happy to see return. Like, that, out of all the like seemingly creatively bankrupt ideas, that one to me is just a like, do it. Like, that's one of those things where it's like, I don't care. Like, we could do everything else completely off script, but get the Russos back to do this. And not to say like, because the Russos make great movies after the MCU, as I understand it, they don't. I haven't bothered, but like, I understand that like they're it's not like it worked out for them after leaving Marvel. But also, you know what? They know how to do it, you know?
Yeah.
So I get it, and I'm down for it.
Yeah.
The Robert Downey Jr. thing, though, because there's a lot of implication with it. You know, if he's back, that means he's a variant. That means we're talking multiverse. That means that in the other reality that he's coming from, like he's gonna that's gonna be the interaction, which also could be awesome to see RDJ against Reed Richards. But the conversation isn't about Pedro Pascal and Robert Downey Jr.'s hopeful chemistry. It's about, and I'll be honest,
admittedly,
and I can't wait to see it, but it is going to be about, because it's going to be the Russos introducing it, and Spider-Man's going to be in all 2 of those movies. It's going to be about Peter Parker seeing Dr. Doom's face and freaking out.
Oh, well, for sure.
And that's going to be awesome, but it's also not the conversation.
Well, hopefully he won't be seeing his face too much.
Well, I think the way, a smart way to do it is, no, you do, because that Dr. Doom's face is also one of the most important characteristics of the character.
Yes.
To reveal his face in this is to say that Robert Downey Jr. will be playing him, but we're seeing his face first. But the most notable and most important thing about Doom is that his face is scarred, which means that there will be a transition from this announcement to the Dr. Doom that we know and love.
Right.
And I think that like that's kind of brilliant too, because it means we're going to lose this.
Yeah.
But what does that mean? Does it mean that he'll be scarred and there'll be a stand-in and he'll just do voice work?
Yeah.
Does it mean that they'll just recast? Does it mean that he'll die and there'll be another Dr. Doom? Like, there's a lot of implication and and we don't know any of it.
So, I mean, like, I obviously, like, you're talking about multiverse. I mean, we already know that that's going to be.
We know that's important. We know that's important. Like
that's well, we know it's going to be a factor in terms of
Secret Wars and, of course, everything we've got.
Well, the Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four from another reality. Yeah.
Right. So you have that to begin with. And then, you know, as much as I'm not a huge fan of the Doctor Strange movies, that the movie establishes, the most recent one establishes the fact that obviously, you know, other multiversal versions of people don't have to be played by the same actor.
Right.
Right. Like they can be different. You know, you have you know, John Krasinski playing Reed Richards, but
and then he'll never do it again.
Like Pedro Pascal is going to be Reed Richards.
Exactly.
So it's like, even if this isn't like Tony Stark and this is just actually Victor Von Doom.
Yes.
You know, it's just
it
could be that universe.
Yeah, he's
Victor
not
Von Doom.
He's not a variant of of Tony Stark.
He could be
just that like Doom looks like him in this reality.
Right. And that's messed up. Right. Like you could go that route and then like, you know, he's there and then he's not there anymore. And then there's another Doom.
Or
and it's like either the MCU's Doom.
Yes.
You know, like, because Rob on Twitter, like, asked, like, you know, wait, if the Fantastic Four didn't buy Avengers Tower, who did?
Right.
Right. And you were like, who cares? Like, they don't care.
I firmly believe that they had a plan in Far From Home.
Yeah. Because
there was that little like tease that it's the Fantastic Four. And then Fantastic Four did not get off the ground. They didn't have any plan, and Kang fell apart. And I think Marvel, I don't think that Marvel has known who bought Avengers Tower up until like a week ago.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And then, but while we were talking about it, I was like, oh, actually, we were picking my car from the mechanic. I was sitting there and I was like, well, just because our Fantastic Four isn't coming from here doesn't mean that there couldn't be some of those people here. And I was like, what if instead there is a Reed Richards here, maybe under a different name or whatever, but what if it's the maker who bought that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so what if there is still a Victor Von Doom somewhere?
In the MCU proper.
Right?
Yeah.
And like, but what if he's not a villain? And then like somehow upon seeing the shenanigans of this Doom, he's like, Latveria should be, or like I should do something more. Or I don't know.
Well, or you know, I had a thought as well about this, which is that like, wouldn't it be kind of funny / interesting if, because of course, I think the idea will be that the Fantastic Four of the other reality is going to come into this reality, and they'll be the Fantastic Four here, and they'll feel displaced and all this stuff. But like Doom's going to follow them if he's going to be introduced, as they've said in the new Fantastic Four movie. This Doom shows up and he sees all these Iron Man things, and he's like, "Oh, I'll just say Tony Stark came back from the dead. I'll take my tower back," and then everyone will be like, "Yeah, you're back." And I'll be like, "Yeah." And then just Doom it up.
Yeah.
But impersonating Tony Stark, like that's a fun, interesting idea.
Right.
You know, I don't know if I would read that or love. I mean, honestly, that sounds. The thing is, that sounds like a Marvel story.
Right.
Like that sounds like an initiative for like a year.
Yeah.
Where like a variant of Tony's. I mean, like I think that is an Iron Man story. Hell, it's a Beast story from X-Men, where like an evil Beast from another reality shows up and he's like, I'm Beast now.
Yeah.
And nobody can tell the difference because I'm furry. You know, like that's a Tony Stark idea that you could do, where like Doom is like, because he says, Robert Downey Jr. when he hit the RDJ, when he hit with the floor, he said, new mask, same task. And obviously that means suit of armor around the world and like this kind of like protection / control, right?
Oh, see, that is not what I thought at all.
Oh.
When they said same mask or new mask, same task, was new mask, like, but like, let's get the MCU back on the map. Like, I took it as not the character, but as the like actor.
That's interesting.
Like, saying like, it's a new mask, folks, but I got the same task.
Yeah, we're gonna get
hyped again. We're starting over.
It could be both.
That's literally the way I took it.
Oh, that's funny.
So funny.
No, I took it as the suit of armor around the world thing.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, no, Doom's approach is I'm going to save the world, but I'm going to do it by ruling.
Oh my god! Wow. Okay.
That's cool. That's
so
both.
Funny.
I think it's both, honestly. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm down. So yeah, I mean, like honestly, while I do think that this made this showed a hand that Marvel didn't want to show. On one hand,
sure,
you know, for one thing, as far as Marvel's concerned, when that happened, they were like, "We did it. It was worth every penny." You know, but the conversation going on is like, "But you guys really didn't have like a good plan, did you?" And like, it's like, "Yeah, no, we didn't."
And admittedly, how about this? How do you feel about How do you feel about this sentence?
Right.
If they didn't have a plan but needed to do something, if this is the gap filler,
oh, that's a hell of a gap.
This is smart.
Yeah.
Like, this does buy you time and goodwill.
Well, and of course, every single announcement that came out of San Diego Comic-Con regarding Marvel Studios, none of them were about the new properties. None of them were about the new stuff.
That's why I'm thinking like this might be like
oops. Yeah, let's
rethink a couple things here.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that the movie's called Doomsday, but what's funny is the Kang Dynasty plan. You know, when they said Avengers, Kang Dynasty, and then Secret Wars, we were all like, no, Doom is in charge of Secret Wars. You can't introduce Doom in like a Fantastic Four movie and then have him be responsible for Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Because that's not enough.
Yep.
That's not enough Doom, especially because Marvel probably will kill him because they're terrible at this sometimes. But this is a good idea where it's like you got a whole movie with Doom.
Yeah.
And a whole movie about the aftermath.
Yeah.
With Doom at the core.
Yeah.
I'm down. The other thing about Kang is, of course, there was conjecture online, and we don't know one way or another, but I will say this does lend credence to the theory that Jonathan Majors was connected to the Kang character such that there was like a clause. I heard a rumor that there was a clause in his contract that was like, I play every variant. So it's like, we literally can't recast Kang without paying Jonathan Majors. So, or using his likeness. So we have to cut out the character completely.
Wow.
Which works for me because I hate Kang.
Yeah.
I've never liked Kang. There's nothing about the Kang that they used in any of these movies that made me want more Kang. I did think Jonathan Majors was good at playing the character, but while I did have a charismatic actor on screen and it was fine to watch, it didn't make me go like, boy, now I'm sold on Kang and I really want more Kang. It is the best move to replace Kang with a character you'd much rather watch who has a lot more stories that actually do work. Good. Like, at the end of the day, rather than try and like clean it up or recast or fix it, like I saw people being like, how could you not just like, why would you get Robert Downey Jr. to play Doom in a completely new movie rather than replace Kang with one of the most because he's one of the most replaceable variant characters in Marvel's history.
Yeah.
And it's like, because Kang, regardless of what is playing him, sucks.
Yeah. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm 100%. Yes.
So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited, but but I am cautiously excited.
But maybe this all worked out for them. Maybe they didn't try super hard to get once the Kang thing started to fall apart.
They were like, you know what?
It feels like maybe what might have happened was Feige was like, no, forget it.
Yeah.
We're just gonna we don't need it. Let's clean things up. Let's make this make more sense. You know,
good.
We have Fantastic Four. You have several of like the largest villains.
Yeah.
who are not just in size themselves, but also that from there, let's focus on making this work.
Yeah.
You know, this is a good core to start with. You
Absolutely.
know, it has that same feel of like early MCU.
Yeah.
Before it was the MCU.
Well, especially because honestly, I have no expectations right now. I don't know what to think or guess about what they're doing with this. Like, I don't know what an Avengers Doomsday looks like.
Right.
Who are the Avengers? You know? I mean, and are you going to go so far as to say that the new Avengers, lowercase n, because they ain't the new Avengers, suck, and they're going to get their asses handed to them by Doom, and they have to call everybody back? Like, I mean, that sucks and is sad, but also the audience probably agrees.
Yeah.
And I think everyone would rather see an Avengers that has, you know, Cap and Thor teaming up with Kamala versus, I mean, I'll take Anthony Mackie Cap, you know, but like Anthony Mackie Cap, Chris Hemsworth Thor, I guess Spider-Man will be there, which is like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, with Kamala, rather than like Moon Knight or Black Knight or, you know, whoever, She-Hulk. I do love She-Hulk, and I want her to be an Avenger, and I want her to be here.
Right.
But it just, there haven't been many successes. So yeah, as far as it goes, I hated this announcement upon reaction, but I'm very interested in where it's going.
It's funny, a lot of folk we were with assumed also, and they probably, this is probably exactly how it's going to go, that like that Robert Downey Jr. was like going to have a lot of like jokes in this, and I'm like, Robert Downey Jr. can play.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are like Oppenheimer, and I'm like, sure.
But like Chaplin though.
Yeah, or like what was it, Fur?
Fur was amazing, and he does not crack. I mean, he has wit, but he's not like Tony Stark in Fur.
Yeah, not at all. So it's like you've seen him play other things. It's whether or
not, the Judge, or you know, he's incredible.
Yeah,
he's a great actor before any of this.
Yeah. I think before we go and talk about...
No, we should do super chats.
That's what I was going to say. Thank you.
Good call, yeah. So before we talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, we're going to talk to you. Kingsport Cal jumped in, says, penny for your troubles, maximum effort. Thank you very much. That's right. Kingsport Cal, thank you very much. Girk Pectus, you know Marvel will use RDJ as an excuse to make Doom another annoyingly lazy comedy villain like they did with their horrible version of Ultron.
That's really funny that I just addressed that.
Yeah, so it worked out. But honestly, like, and also...
that could happen.
That could happen.
But I'm just saying, like...
I hope not.
Like Robert Downey Jr. has the
chops.
He can do it.
Yeah,
he might come off as like someone completely different, and I would love to actually see that.
So
I'd love to see him quipping if he does have to pretend to be Tony Stark, like him doing that, and then just being like, "But that's not who I am."
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Like no.
He also said, my friends warned me that the writing in Deadpool 3 was god-awful because the writer's strike. I thought writing was fine and the matter exposition was awful. Okay. We're not talking about that right now. Scarlet Hottie, Deadpool and Wolverine, shockingly well-written. And how? Now I'm just thinking of, it's the Daily Bugle. It's hip, it's now, it's wow, and how. Cam, that Dr. Doom announcement, woof. There was one thing in the MCU had left, and that was that I was still excited for, and they stomped on it. What a confounding decision.
Well, and again, I don't think that he is, I personally don't think he's the final Doom. I think he is a Doom.
Yeah. Mordejai says, do you think this RDJ casting is going to be some weird adaptation of Demon in an armor, and it's Doom in the body of Tony? Still wish Doom was Romani, though. I heard a lot of people suggesting the Romani actor. I don't have any solution for you. No, I don't think that anyone working for Marvel Studios has any idea what Demon in an armor is. And so, no, there's absolutely no way that they adapted that story. MX Self-Destruct, thank you for your generosity. Can't stay and hang out, but because I'm about to go watch Deadpool, but I wanted to throw some love to my favorite comic book channel on YouTube. Thank you very much, Self-Destruct. Also putting plus that Doom reveal in the title seems maybe a bit spoilery, just saying. No.
I don't think it's... I mean, it was just the news.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no.
I can't spoil the news.
I know, exactly. What would you rather see? That Robert Downey Jr. reveal or that Doom reveal? Lenny Laserdisc, thank you very much for your generosity as well. Me and a few days ago, I'll get a new ComicPop merch, and it's gone. Me earlier today, I'll get a new DC Studio Superman shirt, and it's gone.
Oh, no!
I need to be quicker. Keep up the great work, ComicPop Woo. Thank you very much, Lenny. Yeah, no, same deal, man. The Superman shirt was gone by the time we got to the booth at San Diego Comic-Con, and I wanted the Bullet logo, shirt, but they only had it as a logo with the word studios under it.
Yeah, it was the studio version. There's two versions.
There's two
like
versions.
The bullet and then the studios version, which has like a gradient on it.
Yeah. Which, okay, that's new.
That's fine.
It's fresh and new. I'll take either one, honestly. I love the bullet logo. That's my favorite logo.
You just didn't want to say studios underneath.
I did not want it to say studios underneath it. Past Revival Productions. Why did they cast a Romanian actor Doom? I don't know. Name 4.
Also, I know that's like a really easy thing to call out, but like we don't know who this Doom is. What if they're not Romani?
Yeah, right.
I mean like a Romani, and it's like then like I mean, it doesn't matter. They could still be a good choice, but like clearly the point here wasn't to cast. I don't think the final version of Victor Von Doom from Latveria that we're gonna probably go forward with. I think the thing to do here was to get everybody excited about Robert Downey Jr. coming back.
Exactly.
And like him playing this character who technically, you know, infamous Iron Man, all that. Like there are ties between like Tony Stark and Victor Von Doom. So it's like that. I think focus more on that and like think about the future because I think there will be another actor choice. That's my opinion.
I agree with that. Yeah,
but
I mean, like Wolverine probably like the Wolverine of the MCU. There isn't one yet. You know, the only one we have that's close is Hugh Jackman right now. They're not gonna cast a new Wolverine between now and Secret Wars, but there will be an MCU Wolverine.
Right.
So I'm sure it's the same deal with Doom.
Yeah.
Also, Robert Downey Jr. will not play Doom in 10 years. You know what I mean? So it's like that plan is not in there. Self-Destruct returned. Got it. My bad. I didn't really pay attention to Comic-Con because it's all so much. Love you guys. No, it's just,
Totally fair.
Yeah, totally fair. Bryce Harriet. Sorry I'm late. No worries at that. This is the show. I'm excited for more as a JLU. Yes, there's a new Justice League Unlimited book. The Justice League book that's being launched from DC going forward.
I think that was the biggest news.
That was the biggest news from
like for comics part. I mean, like people were excited about like Jeff Lemire on The Flash, and people were very excited about Al Ewing. I didn't realize it was his first like ongoing DC book.
Yeah.
But it's like that's exciting.
I know.
But yeah, the Justice League being back and being the unlimited version of it was great. You should have heard them. Mark Waid was like, "Name your favorite character."
Yeah, and whether they'll be on the Justice League. Yes. Yeah, he's just like everyone in the DC universe is going to be on the Justice League.
Oprah-ing.
Yeah. Matt Fisher, thank you very much. Hi, only one today, and only chance to write it with no spoilers. This movie was great, but Rob Simonson's music score was very weird. More could have been done with it, and what was with that screeching cat? I don't know.
Admittedly, I guess evidence of maybe what you're saying is I don't remember the score at all.
I don't. Yeah, no, it was wallpaper.
Maybe that is an indicator of that.
Oh no, yeah, no. They did. There was no effort being put into the score. Like this was not without spoilers, and before we even get into Deadpool and Wolverine, there was a lot of that movie that was not trying to break new ground.
No.
Nerd King 101, love the Nerve hat, Tiffany.
Thank you so much, and thank you. I saw a lot of comments about this. I actually got this at the con this past weekend. I'm going to show you guys it.
Yep.
Love this hat. Love it. It's also like a really great profile for a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just at an artist's booth. She actually did a bunch of Riso prints, and they also had this hat. And I looked at it for a second. The guy's like, pretty great, huh? I'm like, one, please. He's like, you can put it on. I put it on for a second. Was like, check myself on the phone. I'm like,
done.
And I just switched out the hat I was wearing this one. I'm like,
nice.
Ta-da!
Yeah. Next time I saw you, you were wearing it.
I love this hat. It's just very comfy.
Yes.
Very comfy hat. Anyway, moving on.
Matt Herndy. Hi, Soundtiff. Sitting on the couch with my sick girlfriend who's finally ready to read comics. Very nice.
Yay!
Can you please send her some get well wishes? Yes.
I hope you get well, and I hope you both get.
Yes.
I hope you stay well.
Stay well and feel better.
Well, and you feel better.
Yeah. It's this is your this is your oyster now. He has to do whatever you want and bring you whatever you need.
Make sure you stay hydrated.
Yeah, stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated and don't push yourself too hard.
That's right. Swing says, picked up my copy of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow yesterday. The variant covers were incredible. What'd you think of an unpublished alternate script for issue 6?
I actually haven't had a chance to
read it yet.
I started reading it. I was like, no. Because it was like the night before we were leaving, essentially. I was like, no, I can't. I need to take my time with it. So we've been away, and I haven't had a chance to actually look through it yet.
Nick Smythe, this film feels like a love letter to the pre-MCU films, showing that even if the movies were bad, every character deserved a happy ending. That's a very nice sentiment. We'll talk about that more in depth in a few, but that's a good point. Wilbert Robertson, thank you very much. Wilbert Robinson. I heard a theory that RDJ Doom will be handled by OG MCU Doom. Also, do you think we may get a Thunderbolts movie with Deadpool, Electro, Punisher, Ghost Rider, and Red Hulk? No, I don't think we'll get that. But I would like to see that. And I think it'd be awesome. But I also don't think we're going to get that. Not now. Not soon. It won't be in this movie, and it won't be in Thunderbolts 2. But I do hope we get something cool. I want to see. I mean, like I've heard that Ryan Gosling really wants to be Johnny Blaze, and I think he'd be great. And I would love to see that. I actually saw some art that portrayed him as such, and I'm like, yes, I am down.
Maybe it's time to let Johnny go.
Yeah, no, I agree. Johnny, well, like because Johnny has the easiest origin.
Well,
would you prefer?
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
He could still play Blaze, though.
Oh, yeah.
He could be Blaze.
I would love that, actually, because then you could just see his face the whole time.
Ryan Gosling could be just, I'm Blaze. I've got a shotgun and a history, and you don't know
the
about
problem
it.
is...
And then Danny Ketch rolls up, and we're all like, oh,
what would you rather have?
Yeah.
Another Johnny Blaze or Danny Ketch with Johnny Blaze's origin? Because those are your options. They're not going to do Danny Ketch. Because they don't have time.
All right, you're right.
People aren't going to see a regular Ghost Rider movie, which has a rock simple 2-dimensional plot.
Yeah, but
they're not going to go see your overly complicated enchanted gas cab was actually your sister's Destiny nonsense.
Okay, well, see, this is where they like messed up in making too many MCU shows.
Yes, because this would have been cool.
Like this is a perfect animated show.
Yeah.
Like Johnny Blaze's and like, well, not really Johnny Blaze's, but like Blaze and then like Danny Ketch's like story is a perfect animated show. And you could do so much with it.
If you let me pitch you on something.
Are you pitching me?
Sam Raimi is in charge of the Midnight Suns arm of the MCU.
I don't want that.
And just let him go.
I just said I didn't want that.
I know.
No.
Hulkzilla, the cowards should just give us an adaptation of Space Phantom. In all seriousness, though, glad you guys had fun this weekend. Let's hope for the best onwards. Thank you very much. Kingsport Cal, RDJ, going to use magic and science for Kill Him. All right.
How about this? Here, I got a very expensive pitch.
Yeah.
That will never happen.
No.
The Duffer Brothers are in charge of the Midnight Suns arm of the MCU.
That I'd take in a heartbeat. But like, just cultivate it, You introduce Johnny, you introduce Danny, you introduce Blackheart, you introduce what's that guy that's also hangs out with them?
There's many guys who also
I'm thinking of you know what I'm thinking of? I'm not thinking of either of them. I'm thinking of that guy who hangs out with Blade, who isn't Whistler. Oh well.
Sorry, I was checking our order to make sure it's actually
ordered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but you know who I'm talking about. But so but just somebody else who is trustworthy, who can do all that and build it up, and then people can just really enjoy it and live in it.
Right.
And then like when inevitably there is like a crossover or a thing, like then they can show up and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Anyway, so yeah, let's jump into the movie, huh?
Yes. So everyone, this is the point of
Hannibal. I'm thinking of Hannibal.
Yeah. Oh wait, we can also do our upcoming like excited books for the next week.
Oh yeah, all right. Let's recommend comics that are coming out this week that we think you should check out.
Thank you.
That of course come from the big two and that we're really excited about reading that we'll cover next week.
Right.
Ultimate Spider-Man #7 is coming out. Hooray. I love this series. It's fantastic. It's definitely worth reading. It's a great book. Blood Hunt #5. I know that's a collaboration. You and I both want to read that.
Yes.
You love that series as well because you are a Jed McKay Magic fan.
I am.
X-Force #1, another entry from the new era of Marvel's X-Men. We'll see how this goes. I'm excited to read it. Has a very throwback, classic Nicieza feel to it. Let's see here. Spider-Man Shadow of the Green Goblin #4 is coming out. I believe this is, if not the penultimate, it is the last issue of J.M.D. Mateus's run on this miniseries flashback book that features a Peter Parker who isn't an asshole moron. So that's really unexpected and cool.
Nice.
That's always nice to see.
Oh,
it's nice when you're a fan of something and then have somebody who actually like cares about the character and likes them and isn't trying to make some kind of a weird meta joke at their expense. So yeah, those are my recommendations for this week that we think that you should check out. What about you, Tiffany?
Fantastic. Saga #67 is coming out.
My God.
I was so excited I couldn't say the word. It's coming back. We're back from our little hiatus. I know I ran into someone who wasn't used to like the breaks, but I was like, Saga technically always took breaks in between. It was like little like mid-season breaks, but then when they took their big long one, I think that shook a lot of like
that really killed the momentum.
I don't think it killed the momentum, but I think it killed a lot of people jumping on board who were new to it. Those of us who were like, we are fans, we'll wait forever. It's fine. Yay, we're here. And then when it took another break, that like hurt, but we're like, we're back to it.
Right. It's like, we're back to this now.
Yeah. So Saga #67 will be coming out this Wednesday. So make sure you go to your local comic book stores if you want to continue picking this up and grab it. It will be there. I hope. Wolverine #3 is coming out. I think I like this series. I don't know. I'm gonna keep going with it. We'll see how it goes. For sure. If you want and you have extra money this week, you could check out Marvel and Disney's What If Donald Duck Became Wolverine.
No.
Come on, this sounds kind of funny. I don't know the team at all.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
But hey, they're trying things, right? I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know who that's for. Is that for children?
It ain't for me. But I will say there is a Ninja Turtles Black, White, and Green #3 coming out, and if you like Ninja Turtles and you like that concept of like black, white, and one color, that's coming out and that's fun.
Excellent.
It's a really good.
It's a bunch of like
different creators
different
working on
creators
it.
Working on it for sure. That's
exactly.
great. It looks like if you're reading Ms. Marvel, there's gonna be an annual this week, so you may want to pick that up. Or if you were like maybe thinking about wanting to try Ms. Marvel, sometimes annuals can be a good one to check out.
Yes.
If they're not super tied into what's currently happening.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they do treat it as an opportunity to be like,
just
okay,
be a double length issue. It's like, oh, I get 2 issues out of this.
Yeah. This is great because there are a lot of books coming out this week. There's not a lot of things that I have been jumping on necessarily, but that actually gives me a chance to catch back up on some of the things.
Yep.
That we did.
If you're a lapsed brown coat like we are, there is a new Firefly book, which is kind of like a what if alternate reality kind of series, which is called Firefly Versus, which I believe is just like, it's a one shot, and it basically is like, what if Mal fought for the Alliance instead of the brown coats, and so if you're interested in that, it's just a neat idea, and there ain't a lot of Firefly the stories being told nowadays. So.
Right.
Give that a look-see.
Okay.
And that's those are the books that are coming out this week that we think you should check out.
There's a bunch of books.
There's more coming out, but
plenty.
like these are the ones we recommend.
But like, I feel like post oh, wait, did you say Ultimate Spider-Man #7?
I did. That was the first thing I said.
Totally missed you saying that. I guess I was reading ahead. So yay. Okay, yeah, we get to read that together.
Yeah, exactly. Yay, Ultimate Spider-Man. But yeah, so with respect to Deadpool and Wolverine, here is our quick non-spoiler review of Deadpool and Wolverine. If you're wondering if you should see it in theaters, if we enjoy it, the answer is yes. We did like it. We did enjoy it, and I think you should definitely see it in the theater.
Speak for yourself. No,
this is a fun movie, and it has a lot of stuff in it that you might want to enjoy. I'm just trying very hard to like make sure you don't.
It's energetic. It's definitely a movie that benefits from a larger screen experience. I feel like.
I should say that this in no way makes any effort to contextualize you in the universes that it deals with, and so if you are jumping in for the first time, you might enjoy the jokes and the action sequences, but as far as story is concerned, you're really not going to get much out of it. You're only going to get what the movie gives you, and any subtext that might exist within this movie will be lost. So if you're interested in seeing this movie for fight sequences and seeing Wolverine and Deadpool interact, or perhaps for some cameos or special callbacks or winks and nods, then this is exactly the movie for you. But if you are looking for like a third chapter in the Deadpool movie trilogy, this movie, while it does do that, doesn't quite deliver that. It's more, it does a lot more. Deadpool in this, as far as the character and the franchise is concerned, is taking on more responsibility, thematically speaking and literally speaking.
Yes.
But thematically speaking, than just delivering a third Deadpool movie. It is doing the unenviable task of saying goodbye. And and so that's a lot of work, and it's not going to be handled with the kind of like grace that you'd expect from a movie that wasn't written by Zeb Wells. So, it's going to have some blemishes. There are some very clear blemishes, but overall it's a fun movie that delivers on the premise. Like don't think too hard about it.
I think some folks expectations for this were probably set a little high. This is a
any of your theories about what this movie was about or what it was doing or what it was like, forget it.
Like, if you're worried about blemishes on it, the fact is, like, it is a summer blockbuster, my friend, and it is a popcorn movie, and I don't think it's trying to be much more than that.
Nope.
It does have emotional high points and low points, and some people might tear up at certain moments or not. It's there 100%, but it came out in the summer, and they're not pretending like it's not like a summer, let's do this. The fact is, it's like, if you are a fan of Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman and the friendship that they have that you see displayed across the internet, you literally can feel throughout this movie
their kinship and
how much fun it must have been for them to make this movie together.
Exactly.
No,
yeah.
So
that's true.
Okay.
All right. So Deadpool and Wolverine.
Here comes some spoilers.
The third movie in the Deadpool franchise, directed now by Sean Levy, written by many people. There were a lot of writers, which includes Ryan Reynolds, because this movie was being made during the writer's strike. And so as a result, anything that Ryan Reynolds said made him a writer on it. Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, and Zeb Wells was also involved in some way, along with Sean Levy. And starring, of course, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman returning in their titular roles. This time, we see that the characters are in a much different place than they were before. I believe the idea is that that time has passed between 2 and now.
Yes.
That essentially that much time has passed, and so we are visiting Deadpool at a point in his life where a lot of the stuff from the previous movie has happened and come and gone. The post-credits time traveling sequence using Cable's wrist-mounted time traveling device is canon, did happen, and affected his life going forward. Though, since you saw the trailer, probably the TVA's involvement quickly dismisses any of that as being a plot point.
We are now in spoiler territory, to confirm. We are entering the spoiler territory. Here it comes.
So Deadpool is on a quest, a mission, personally, as he is in every single in both of his other movies. He's looking for it's personal growth, it's personal evolution, and he's looking to be better, I guess, is the goal.
Yeah.
And he is tormented by a decision that baffles me, and it doesn't I like this movie a lot, and I think it's a lot of fun. All the multiversal stuff confuses me because I know they're not thinking about it.
Right.
Like, there's a plot point in this movie where they say that in 2018 Deadpool goes to the Marvel universe, and he basically asks Happy Hogan / Tony Stark if he can join the Avengers.
Yes.
And they reject him, which of course they would, because presumably they wouldn't know who he was or what universe he was in.
Well, it wouldn't matter if they were taking open, you know what I mean? Like, they were looking at everybody.
Right,
you
but
know?
So this and he wants to join the Avengers, most importantly because he's looking to belong, to matter, and to be important, and to impress, or at the very least satisfy the inadequacies he feels with Vanessa. And that was a very interesting plot point of this movie, and I want to talk about that specifically with you. The idea that, like, I don't think, because there's an idea here that implies that, like, because Vanessa and Deadpool aren't together anymore,
right?
And we get a flashback to them breaking up, but like, it's established that, you know, him trying to get on the Avengers was like his last ditch effort to, like, show her that he's willing to change and grow.
Right.
But I don't think that she breaks up with him. Like, I don't think that she falls out of love with him. I think that his self-doubt and feeling of inadequacy forces her to view him differently.
Okay, I took it very differently. I think that they did inevitably break up because I think part of the problem for her is the reasons that he's doing things.
Right.
You know, like, he says he wants to join because he's like, I got to get my girl back. Like, I gotta do this for her. But it really is all about him.
Yes.
Because, like, they make that very keen distinction right at the end, and like that's when she takes his hand.
Yeah.
She's
he
like,
did it for her. Yeah. Yeah.
And like she's like, I believe you that like you did.
Mhm.
Like that is why you did this.
Okay.
Like I totally believe. Like you know what I mean? Like I think it was a combo of a lot of things. I think he does feel inadequate, but like he's only caring about himself. It has nothing to do with
right.
like she's like, no, but I care about you. Like you know what I mean? And it's not enough for him.
Yeah.
So he thinks he's doing it for her, but he's only like doing it to satisfy himself and his own ego.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I don't think there's any explanation for what happened to the baby. Because she was pregnant in the second movie.
I totally forgot about that.
I know everyone did, including the people who made this movie.
Well, I mean, that could be part of the issue.
The subtext could be there that like they lost the baby, and as a result, to put pressure on their relationship and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the movie did not make any attempt to tell you about that. Like that was just not in the movie. They
Right.
like they just forgot. But we can ascribe some kind of meaning to that and make it like, you know, oh yay, okay, that's sad. That's another element of tragedy
Or
and
maybe
sorrow.
like, their time travel shenanigans messed something up, and so that didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, definitely she was pregnant. But also she was a sex worker in the first movie, but they retconned that to a stripper because Disney. It was 100%.
Well,
Like,
no, she could be both.
oh, I know, but they don't. They're like, no, she was a stripper in this new, you know, whatever.
Well, I could be the way when it's referred, like it could just be.
Oh yeah, well she also and also she was a stripper, like. Except that she was only stripping when he was missing.
I'm just trying to remember who says it.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, so I don't think he would
say out loud that to Wolverine. I don't know.
Yeah,
just interesting. I was just like,
I just feel like he's like, you know, she's like, you know,
yeah.
It's
no.
not like it's Independence Day. Like she's like, I'm an exotic dancer. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it could just be like that, where it's like, you know, maybe she didn't love saying that. Like she's like, technically, my main job was this.
Right.
How I made the money was
that.
This other way.
Yeah, it's true. I just thought it was funny because it reminded me very much of like the year one retcons. Because like, you know, Frank Miller year one, Catwoman was a sex worker, and then after they made a continuity, DC was like, she's not. That didn't happen. Like, no. She was just hanging out outside. She's a dominatrix. She's not a sex worker.
I literally just assume that's just like he's like, no, like there's no reason to.
I don't need to go all there. You know,
yeah,
Wolverine doesn't need my whole backstory.
Yeah, like I don't see that as like anything but that.
Yeah, but yeah. So it was a real shame she's not in the movie much. Marina Baccarin is so great, she is so fun.
Yeah.
And of course, she will be Copycat in another reality. And it's a real shame that she wasn't at any point, but there was no room for her to do it. But I just wanted to say out loud, I love Marina Baccarin. I think she's great, and she would have been wonderful, and she's endlessly charming. And when every scene she's in, she lights up the room, and I'm like, oh, that's a shame. Like, it's a shame she's not in it much.
But admittedly speaking, most of the Deadpool cast is not in this.
No,
movie.
This is not it's about them, but not. Like, it's about their photo than it is more about, and it's not in a Back to the Future kind of way.
No.
Just in a way, and to your point, where it's like, this is the photo of my continuity, and I care about these characters, but do you? Like, you know, but like, you know what I mean? Like, do you know that's what you're doing, that you're doing all this? Because of course, as everybody's pointed out, like the whole like crux of it, like the motif, as it were, of this movie is mattering. I want to matter.
Yeah, like he wants to matter, and like that's the carrot that's dangled in front of him. And for a minute, he really does. Like, essentially, what he wants to do is have his cake and eat it too.
Absolutely.
Like, initially, he's like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Like, I want that.
Yeah.
But also, couldn't we just save this so that I could have both? Because I want that.
Yeah, I want to have both.
Salute cap. I want the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I want it.
But I also don't want to lose what I had in order to do it.
I mean, like, I don't want that to happen, but like, I don't want to also not have this thing I want.
Yeah, which is why this movie is actually not about integrating Deadpool into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not about doing a huge homage to Wolverine, though we get that as well. The movie is about saying goodbye to the Fox universe because it unceremoniously died. Like the Fox, and not like not multiversally, but like Fox tried something before the MCU got started that was hard to do. DC can attest to it, which was create a interconnected cinematic universe.
Yeah.
And they deserve to be acknowledged for it. And all anyone could talk about after the Fox acquisition was how cool it will be for Deadpool to be in the MCU. And so the movie seems to be about that and the reaction to that, where they're like, yes, admittedly, it would be cool, but we had something here.
Yeah.
And it was, and it had its warts and all, but that doesn't mean we need to forget about it, neglect it, or dismiss it.
Yeah.
And so that's what this movie is actually about. And that's kind of cool. And it's a
Yeah.
really sweet idea that can be lost in Backstreet Boys montages and endless bloody fight sequences.
Yes. It's also like, you know, it did like you had expectations
Yeah.
and they circumvented them. Like
Exactly.
they like you thought it was going to be this one thing and it ended up like not being that. But I think it's also a nod to the fact that it's like if Deadpool is to go there and if Ryan Reynolds is to stick with it, like we wouldn't probably have all these characters.
That's right.
Along.
You can't have both.
Yeah, you can't have both. Like, and I like that. I like that a lot. And I like the fact that this movie doesn't try to make it work. It doesn't try to force the fit right now.
No, nor does it cavalierly say goodbye to the Fox universe in a like quick joke, mercy killing.
Yeah.
And then we get just like, would it have been easy and quick to like retcon Deadpool in the circle of the Avengers movie or any number of like references and cameos? Like the whole thing could have been him just TVAing throughout the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe and being in different scenes and retconning that he's always been there.
Yep.
Like a Deadpool Secret Wars kind of comic. But instead it is a journey where like Deadpool has to grow and change like every good protagonist, and
in the amount that he could, like every bit of growth that Deadpool does in this movie would be not necessarily a whole lot for another maybe more heroic character, but for him, it's like monumental. Right.
Well, and of course, like in this MCU Deadpool movie, the person he teams up with is another Fox character.
Yeah.
Which like is great because as a result, it is kind of saying to you, well, you did like that other universe because look, like here's the other one you cared about. You know, that's kind of fun. It's a neat idea, and I really like that as a premise and as a concept, and I appreciate them pulling it off to the majority of its extent. Overall, you know, we just watch Deadpool realize like they set up some asinine concept that I don't like about how the universes are structured, that every universe has an anchor being, and if that anchor being dies, your universe dies. But technically it dies slowly, but there's one overzealous member of the TVA who, you know, didn't exist in the Loki show but now does, and he's like, who cares, that's fine. But like
I think they're like creating this concept specifically
for this.
If Disney acquires assets, what happens?
Right. Yeah. So as a result,
like somewhere in the universal timelines,
right? Exactly.
They're just extinguished.
Oh yeah. No, there's a reality with Edward Norton Hulk and Eric Bana Hulk. They died. But yeah. So we watch as Deadpool is like, okay, well then if I can restore my anchor being, my reality will exist. And so he goes to find a Wolverine to replace his Wolverine, which firmly establishes that the Deadpool universe is in the Logan timeline.
Yeah, can we just talk about the fact that the whole Logan thing is freaking hilarious? Like that in and of itself, I'm like, yeah, I love that movie. But like that everyone at the TVA knows
Logan and they're
dialogue.
Like, yeah, and they're all like, oh, Logan was so great and it was so important and it was so tragic and we all loved it. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. We all did love Logan. The movie. Yeah. Yeah. And then they desecrate it in a big bad way, which is meant to be funny and it's not meant to be insulting. I mean, it is insulting, but like in an irreverent kind of like comedic way. It doesn't undo Logan. It's just a ridiculous sequence that's meant to be funny and enjoyed and to teach you not to be too precious with your icons and stuff like that. So yeah, that was fun. But and that actually, I honestly believe that like that fight sequence, the slow motion dispatching of TVA agents using Logan's adamantium skeleton is one of the best action sequences in the entire movie.
Yeah. And this is where like I felt like, because I know Levy from some of his other projects with
action.
I was gonna say with Reynolds, right? Because he worked on some things with
the Adam Project and Free Guy.
Yeah.
They're both ugly movies that I don't really care for.
But I was gonna say, like, there were some other sequences where it's like I could feel maybe a little bit more of his roots showing.
Yep.
But then there were some other very, very strong action sequences that made me like very forgiving of it. Like,
absolutely.
There's like one or two where I was like, this feels a little almost like behind the scenes looking.
Yes.
But it's not that bad at all. It's just comparatively to some of the stronger sequences in the film. Yeah. They just don't read as well.
No, me. I agree. No, I mean, anytime you go like it, it's funny. The most Marvel sequence is like all the action takes place in the wasteland, because like every Marvel big bad sequence takes place in a big ugly bland gray location. Like, oh boy, a big gray German airport, or oh boy, a big gray husk of upstate New York where the Avengers compound used to be. Like every big set piece for the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a big ugly gray place.
What do you want?
Ornate backgrounds and well shot sequences.
But like, what do you want the backgrounds to be?
Contingent on the sequences that are occurring before me in narrative fashion.
Okay, but like you want it to be more colorful?
I'd like it to be more visually appealing.
Because the problem with more visually appealing is often you get yelled at for ruining something or killing people then.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing this to skirt that issue.
Yeah, I know.
To play however you want. So
doesn't have to be ugly.
I don't think that they're necessarily ugly.
Okay. I do.
Okay.
But like, yeah, it's funny. I was like, eh. But the Wasteland's supposed to be like that. We also established what it looks like in Loki. It's also and it's cheaper to shoot it like that.
Sure.
So, but anyway. So, what else do we do? Like where else we go with this?
That is such a good line. It's not their fault. The Power Rangers reserved the quarry from Age of 5.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So yeah. But like like that opening action sequence, like not only sets a tone.
Yeah.
But it gives you a great let's go back.
Oh yeah.
But like it makes everything make more sense. It's well done. It's like you get a feel for it's like, all right, we're dealing with TVA. We're like, we've got Deadpool. We haven't seen him in a while, right? Maybe the last time we saw him, not everyone was people were a little more lukewarm on maybe that movie, right?
Yeah.
We get a little bit of recap too for that. We get some establishing of where we are potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's what's funny is like you say that that's in the Logan universe,
right?
But the fact is, like when we see it, and we saw it recently and haven't really done any more research on it from there. But like when they show us the line, right? There's a line and there's all those like
branches,
right?
So it could be
it could be the main line is the Logan universe, and
the branches are like Deadpool and
like
First Class and stuff like that. Like maybe the main line is
Logan, and then once that it was like, well, you're gonna be gone now,
right?
Because
right.
Logan is disappearing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. But that, yeah, and the whole time travel multiversal stuff, like I wish it was more consistent, but I don't necessarily care. So we also see a sequence where we're just gonna talk about like the high point, like just the points, like where like Deadpool needs a Wolverine, so he goes back and he finds a bunch of Wolverines, and
you enjoyed the hell out of yourself.
Yes, and I think we could talk about like the cameo of our
well, you said we're spoiling. We are
no,
spoiling.
I mean like we could talk about like the cameo in our lives who was watching the movie with us, but
it's up to you. I think you can do that later.
All right, cool. Well, like the folks who watched that movie were just like laughing and clapping their hands, and I was amazed at how far they went and what they did with the Wolverines that we got.
Yeah,
we got Brown Suit Wolverine fighting the Incredible Hulk. We got the claws with Hulk's face in them, shot from the cover, which is incredible.
Yep.
I also was like,
Wolverine.
we got really
short King.
Yeah, we got Short King Wolverine that people have been asking for, and they're like, this would be stupid. And
then you saw it, and you're like, yeah,
I don't want that. But we got that. We got Age of Apocalypse Wolverine with missing hand and big hair and everything, and it was amazing looking.
Yeah, you were like,
I was like, I can't believe they went to the Age of Apocalypse universe. It's amazing.
He was so like that days later we saw either a comic or a toy of him, and he was like, I can't believe it. I can't.
Yeah, it was a toy of Age of Apocalypse Wolverine again. There was the like Crucified Wolverine cover homage, which is amazing to see.
Yes.
That was really cool. There's a special not Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine cameo.
Again, another bit of evidence or for like there could be other Victor Von Dooms.
Exactly. Yeah, because like they don't all have to be Hugh Jackman. One of them is Henry Cavill, apparently.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Patch.
We got Patch.
Patch was like that for me was really great because that was so well shot.
Yeah, it was like I want to go there.
Like, oh, it's Patch.
No, it's true. It was such a well shot.
I want this movie. I don't know what's happening. I want this movie.
Yeah, no. Every Wolverine reference that was pulled from a comic book was like really cool, and it was awesome, and also made me like go. I hope it doesn't make them afraid to do any of these things. Like I do still want to see a Hulk versus Wolverine movie. We don't want to say like we did it for 2 seconds in a Deadpool sequel. Like I want to see Wolverine beat Patch. I want to see like Age of Apocalypse in some fashion. I mean, but I'm okay if it's just here.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But we got a lot of those really fun cameos of
That's
just
right.
Wolverine.
Old Man Logan.
Oh, we got real Old Man Logan in the Unforgiven outfit.
Yeah,
That was really cool. Only too bad, no Hulk baby. That would have been really amazing.
What was he gonna do with that Hulk baby?
I don't know. Raise it, I guess. Carry him. But like, it would have been really cool. But it was already awesome. There were so many Wolverines and so many references. That was really cool and really fun. Until eventually we get this Wolverine, and worst Wolverine who let his universe die. And it's funny because they make references later on to other larger aspects. Like, I don't know how Deadpool goes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because they say specifically he's in the 616, which is wrong, but but Feige's sticking to his guns about that. Whatever. But Deadpool.
No, maybe he is in the 616.
He's not, because well, what do you mean?
Maybe he's in the comics.
Oh no, because 616. They say 616 is the universal designation of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but only in the MCU. In the comic books, it's Earth 199999999.
Right, but the comics are 616, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe he's in the comics 616.
No, because we're meant to.
I know.
Yeah.
I was making a joke, but you had to be accurate. So
Okay. Anyway, like the. I didn't know that Deadpool could hop realities. I thought he could only just go. I mean, like, I guess because he kills like Ryan Reynolds and alternate Deadpool and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even though it's a time device, I don't know. It was weird. It was weird that like he could go the multiversal hop, but like we don't establish. I don't know. It's just the inconsistencies were like really
maybe
weird
the watch got an upgrade.
Maybe
like so much time stack.
Right. Yeah. It's a very specific reference.
It is.
But yeah, it was weird to me. But like, they make a reference later, Deadpool references the Avengers, and this Wolverine knew who he's talking about. So I'm guessing that like the reality that this Wolverine in this movie came from had both Fox properties and Avengers in it, because this Wolverine knows who the Avengers are and was familiar with them.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I would like to see that universe. What is that? And great opportunity to like show a shot of like Wolverine with the Avengers at some point. Like, just put Hugh
But they
Jackman.
don't want to pay that off.
I know. And which is
Yes.
actually better that the thing is though, I know they don't want to pay that off, but they did show Hulk versus Wolverine. And I'm like, that's a whole movie.
No, they showed
a shot.
shot. That's very different than like lining them all up together.
No, that's true.
You got like a reflection. And
Right.
That's it.
We're going to get that in Secret Wars. But yeah, so that was fun. All those cameos were cool. And well, same guy in all these cameos with one exception was cool. Again, the action sequences were great. The story we talked about a little bit, but people are here to hear about like when they go to the wasteland.
Hang on, really quick. I just want to clarify. The reality jumping Sal's talking about is not when he's jumping around for Wolverine. So
No,
he's talking about
in Deadpool 2 when he just had the time watch.
Yeah, like before having Paradox's temp pad or whatever that thing is called, when he like at the beginning.
Yep.
When he goes to talk to Happy.
Yes.
That is without having
the temp pad.
Yeah,
that was his wristwatch.
That, yeah, that is a universal jump there. That's what we were talking
about.
Yeah,
that's universal jumps later in the actual like time in this movie's chronology. But yeah, but they also established that he goes to the 616 universe in 2018, presumably using the cable watch.
Right.
Whatever. Okay. Yeah, but anyway, when they go to the wasteland, that's fun. We got a little payoff with Sabretooth, which was neat. Weird voice modulation.
I like how you like the Sabretooth thing. That movie had I had no idea the next reveal we were going to get, because I didn't know he was going to be in the movie.
No, me either.
B, I wasn't thinking at all
no,
about
me
what
either.
that was going to be.
No.
Because like admittedly what this movie does do for you is you recognize that you're watching a Deadpool movie, you're seeing it in the summer, and it's just action packed, so you do a little bit just
forget. You're just like you're
watching the movie.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, I know a lot of people, I'm sure, would be like, how could you not think that? Because I'm not watching a movie thinking about what I'm about to see. I'm just watching it.
And also because we saw the movie at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
That's very true.
After having traveled halfway across the country.
Yeah.
Basically to watch it. But
right. Yeah. But Chris Evans's cameo, which of course was set up by Deadpool for you to think it's Captain America, only for him to reveal he's actually Johnny Storm from the Fox universe.
Yes.
And that's when you're like, oh, it's about Fox.
And it's freaking
it was brilliant and funny and great. And
yes.
Chris Evans clearly had a blast doing it. He was just like, you could tell he was like, oh, good, I get to cut loose and play and say ridiculous things.
I get to be funny.
Yeah, I was funny. I was actually a really good Johnny Storm.
Yeah, I was fun.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I wasn't just a stick in the mud.
But yeah, Cassandra Nova, you know, that'll be a fun rabbit hole for folks to go down if they want to learn more about her.
Yeah, Emma Corrin was great.
She's phenomenal.
I was actually sad to lose her.
Well, we don't know. No body, no death.
Well, she explodes the same way that Hugh would, or that Wolverine and Deadpool do. So hopefully she won't, because I think she's great, and I loved her, and I thought she was like so cool and menacing and interesting and scary, and she had like nuance and depth, even though she doesn't have lots to work with, and you know, like you could tell when she's in Wolverine's mind. She's like actually, because she's sadistic and she's messing with people, but she also like there's something about it that like it's almost like something connecting with Wolverine, a mind that Charles connected with a lot, somehow gave her that kind of like empathy that Charles just naturally has, like because it touches her, but she seems like she's also cynical and sarcastic, so she could have been using it to play with him, but you could tell like there's actual like depth there, and I was like, wow,
it's a lot, right? Because it's like, you know, most recently obviously watching Charles interact with her and also with Legion. You know, it's like it's not easy for him sometimes. Yeah. It's easier for him to make relationships with his students.
In the comics, you're saying, because Charles is not in this movie.
No, with his students. So like I could describe that as well here, where it's just like, you know, she may not feel like he would care, or because of the fact that like, you know, there aren't a whole lot of her out there in the multiverse, that like he doesn't think about her at all. But I like that because also she's just like, no, like I'm not right.
Yeah.
Like I am, there's something up with me, and I recognize that.
That's why I like cordon myself off in this wasteland.
I like being here. I get to do what I want. There's no wrong or right. I do as I please, and yay me, right?
Yeah.
Like, there is something about her that's very moral in that sense, even though she is distinctly an antagonist and a force of, I mean, really, it's like she is almost 100% up until a point chaotic neutral.
Yes.
Like she is just a neutral chaos that rolls on through.
Yeah.
Right. I do love too this movie just in general. They have a very, like in the Deadpool franchise, they have a very specific attention on hands, because like Deadpool's fingers in the comics do like a really distinct like bend back, and you see it all the time.
Yeah.
Cassandra Nova has like weird hands, like weird long hands, and they gave them to her in this. And at first I was like, does she have those? And I'm like, yep, no, she does. And they're they're creepy.
Yeah, and they do the whole thing where she digs her hands into their faces, and it looks really good. Yeah. It was just like, and it was very effective, and just demonstrated her powers in a really like practical, but you know, fun and interesting, engaging way. I just a shout out to her, Emma Corrin, for doing such a great job with that character.
Just being really creepy, but like,
but understandably, like it wasn't just like she's not some evil witch.
No,
she's not just the Wicked Witch of the West. She's just she's interesting and complicated and tragic and scary and malevolent, and you hate her because she kills Johnny, but also you like her because she's so charismatic and you know,
and British
She's just endlessly British. But great, it was just really cool. I was like, wow, that's awesome. Like, what a good call. Don't waste her. Bring her back. Do something neat with her. I'd like to see that. Makes me actually like and find Cassandra interesting, because I don't care for Cassandra Nova normally.
Right.
But I wanted to address one thing really quick, because I have a theory about it. Okay. I think it's just it demonstrates for me like why I'm like, the MCU kind of seems like it's over. Okay. Because it's there's a plot point where well, not a plot point, but there's a sequence in where Paradox is explaining to Deadpool why he's awesome and is going to be in the MCU and stuff. And there's a shot of Deadpool and Thor. And it becomes this kind of like almost running joke, but there's no jokes. It's just kind of a reference that Deadpool keeps referring to, where he's like, what's that? And like, if you watch it, it's like, oh, it was a joke that they shot that was supposed to be clearly like part of a montage of jokes that they either didn't finish or only had one of and then turned it into something else.
Yeah.
Probably because Feige's like, wait, people don't pay attention hard enough. Maybe we can just use that in Secret Wars or something. And that's clearly what they're doing. They're like setting that up. There's a moment where like a torn up, dying Deadpool is being mourned by Thor. It's clearly the same shot of Thor mourning Loki dying in Thor: The Dark World.
Right.
A movie that I guess Marvel really, really, really thinks most people didn't see, because they love to refer to it and call back to it and use like plot points from it, because they think most people don't know, like, and won't pay attention. But like, for whatever reason, I was really keen into it. I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to see a whole bunch of scenes of Deadpool like inserted in other key moments in Marvel's history, you know? Like there'll be a I Love You 3000 moment where like Deadpool snaps and stuff.
Right.
But no, it's just there. And it's clearly just they swapped out Tom Hiddleston for Deadpool. But they were like, no, that's a thing that's happening later, actually. That doesn't look anything like the scene from Thor: The Dark World. It's a completely new scene, and it's going to be in a movie later in this franchise. And I'm like,
that's funny.
Okay.
I thought that I thought it was maybe shot recently. I don't know.
I'm sure it was shot recently.
He just looked like Chris looked different.
Chris looked newer. Yeah. No. No, I'm sure it was shot to be him, but also it's set up to look exactly like the scene from Thor: The Dark World. So for me, I was just like, oh, it's going to be a montage of Deadpool dying in the MCU or being pivotal in the multiverse. But instead they were like, this is this is a tease.
Yeah, it was also a carrot. It was another like part of the carrot for him. Like,
yes. Look at you being relevant and you mattering in some important battle. But they were also like, oh wait, we're gonna actually that's something that's to come.
Yep.
So he'll die or something, or maybe seem to die in Secret Wars.
Right.
But that was interesting. I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I guess they're playing because you could tell, like, while they were making it or while they were cutting it or while they were promoting it, they were like, okay, we all kind of like signed on board for this kind of like swan song goodbye to the Fox universe.
Right.
And make money off of a Deadpool sequel. But like, this, like, the joke about like Hugh being Wolverine till he's 90 is like less of a joke now because we made $200 and like some odd $1 million in 3 days, and it hasn't been since Spider-Man that we've done that.
That joke is like, to me, less Deadpool making that to Wolverine and more
that's Ryan Reynolds making that joke to Hugh, big time. So yeah, they go to the wasteland. They're teased that there's going to be other characters in there. We couldn't wait to see who they were. I don't know about you, but I wasn't spoiled about any of them, so I was excited to see all of them.
I had no idea.
And here they all are. So Blade shows up. Yay. Wesley Snipes is amazing. I got to go to the bathroom during a period when he actually said like a line that was a very not so subtle dig to the MCU and how much effort that's been taken to make a Mahershala Ali's Blade movie. I'm sad that they keep referring to Punisher, but they didn't get Tom Jane to show up. He would have. I did not believe they did. What a shame. He was in that horrible like Mutant Apocalypse movie, but he wasn't in this. What the crap? But that would have been fun. He would have died, but whatever. But Blade is in that movie. Jennifer Garner's Elektra is in this movie.
Yes.
I couldn't believe that she came back to do this because Jennifer Garner seems to be too cool for school most of the time.
But you know what? That MCU money, man.
Exactly.
I mean, she really did want a chance. Like, now that superhero movies have been elevated more, she's like, you know what? Yeah, I wish my character.
Which is why they were all introduced in this movie to die, and then they went like, but I mean, let's not show them all die. Because maybe not. But yeah, we got them. That was awesome. We got Daphne Keane returning as Wolverine / X-23.
Yes.
I was crestfallen she didn't have a Wolverine costume.
Well,
she's great.
Yeah.
But it would have been cool. And it was a nice little moment for her to like to connect with this Wolverine.
Yes.
And of course, Channing Tatum rumored to be Gambit at some point and never having done it.
Yeah.
Now they were like, well, we have that like weird John Krasinski just put the CG suit over people's money. So here's Gambit. Just 90s cartoon comic book accurate Gambit.
I'm sorry.
Overlaid on Channing Tatum.
I did not like that.
No.
Here's
the thing. I liked his voice. I thought he actually did a really good voice for him.
No.
But he looks nothing like Gambit. Like I did not. Mm-mm. When they were like, "Oh, Channing Tatum, we've been his in Gambit," I'm like, "Where do you get that impression?"
I enjoyed it as a joke.
Yeah, but I don't want to see that ever again.
I was so like, nope,
right?
That was not for me.
Yeah,
I mean, like again, I loved the whole reaction. Mm-hmm. I loved Deadpool's every critique of him.
Yeah,
100%.
Oh, it's so funny. Like it was just so great. Like I. Was your dialect coach a minion? Like just really good stuff, really good jokes at his expense.
Yes.
But also like, that's that accent.
I don't know.
It's pretty good. And he wanted to play it so bad, and I'm glad he did, and it was fun. And he actually does Gambit it up. Like you get to see him do Gambit stuff. He's doing the cards, but in an R-rated movie, so he actually gets to blow people up and stuff.
I just feel like in a world post X-Men 97, it's just, he should
look like Gambit.
He just can't live up to what we got in an animated show.
No, it's sorry. So true. Yeah, that was fun. And yeah, so we see them all team up, and they roll out, and they provide the distraction for Deadpool and Wolverine to leave. My theory about the sling ring was completely wrong. I did not care for, I mean, I know it was like mean, but I also really loved Cassandra Nova's reference to him. Like an amateur magician came here one time.
Yeah, she said a wizard.
Oh.
It could have been anyone. I mean, so many characters have sling rings. It isn't just
I
Strange who
know.
has them. Like,
they need to get rid of them.
yeah, I hate them.
We said it in the first movie.
I hate them. I'm like, oh, good. I'm glad you took some ones. I don't care. Just put them in the trash. Put them all in the trash.
We need to establish that, like, you can, like, if you're Sorcerer Supreme, you can teleport without.
Do you know how much I hope?
Devices.
Because, like, here's the thing. The other thing about RDJ being Doom is, like, I have very little hope that he's going to do any magic whatsoever. But, like, I want Doom to roll up and just start doing regular magic and being like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
With this
what is all this?
Like, just get this trash out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, I know how to do actual magic. I don't have to use your little trinkets in your baubles.
Right. And he says something cool, like he says, like, flames of Faltine and stuff.
So
and
I want to put an asterisk there. Admittedly, I know that much of what Doctor Strange deals with are relics and those, like the Wand of Watum and all that.
Of course.
They do that, but he also does like regular goddamn magic. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. But yeah, so seeing them all show up was cool. It was one of those things where I'm like, this seems like you could just do anything.
There was a lot of like, I wish certain folks had been there.
It just made me think of other people,
like Punisher.
Like Punisher.
Obviously, I loved the fact they addressed the Daredevil in the room.
I know, and like making it into a like divorce joke where she's just like, oh, Daredevil died, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. She's like, it's fine. I'm like, yeah.
Ouch.
But that was funny.
Yeah,
I was sad that there was no Daredevil, but also I'm like, yeah, you know who needed justice though? Like, because I saw Ben Affleck's Daredevil movie in the theater, and I was like, all right, you know, this is kind of fun. He's doing an okay job. I mean, it's Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
You know, he ain't disappearing into the role. Like, I think Ben Affleck's Batman's better than his Daredevil, but Jennifer Garner's Elektra was never good, and I'm glad she got to do something with it in this.
Yeah.
She doesn't feel like Elektra, but she feels like Jennifer Garner. Elodie Young is my Elektra. Jennifer Garner ain't my Elektra.
Yeah.
But she got to do something and be relevant and cool, and you got to actually like kill people in an R-rated movie. Like, good for you. Yeah. So you know, and then they save the day. I mean, like, what do you want? You know? The League of Deadpools was kind of like almost the weakest part for me.
Is Nick Cage in?
He's not in this.
No, but is he in?
No, he was a Sony movie.
That's what I thought. I was like, I didn't think he was. Fox.
Yeah, no, Ghost Rider was Sony.
Yeah,
but
so
like, but also, I don't believe. No, Punisher was also not Fox, and Blade wasn't either. No, they were just like, we're saying goodbye to Fox, but also we're getting Blade in here.
Okay. That's weird then.
I know. That's why I was like, oh man, like somebody in the comments pointed out, I thought it looked like him, but I thought the Russian from Tom James movie was there. Yeah, I saw the shirt and I'm like, is that the Russian?
Is it?
But it was so quick, I couldn't tell.
I thought it was.
I'm sure
100%.
it wasn't the same actor, but I was like, that'd be kind of cool.
I thought so. I thought exactly the same thing.
Yeah. But so yeah, the Blade line, by the way, was just like, you know, what was it? They asked him about it. Like,
no, it's like they're talking about that
Punishers.
I
got a bazooka from the Punisher.
Yeah, which one? Like whatever. And then he says something like, there's only one Blade, only ever will be, or something like that. It's incredible. It's just like it's an indication. He's just like, I am it.
Well, I'm Blade.
I am the Messiah of Blades.
Well, if you've ever heard the Patton Oswalt story about like how apparently he and the director had like such a bad experience, they only communicated through Post-it notes, and Wesley Snipes would always sign it Blade. Like he was like, only refer to me as Blade.
Yeah, there's only one Blade.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Like, but yeah, the Deadpool things, a lot of references. I saw somebody on Twitter, a comic book creator on Twitter was like, I got a credit in the Deadpool movie and I have no idea why. And then someone's like, because of this, and showed the variant that he invented.
Wait, who got a credit?
I don't recall.
Oh,
I'm saying it was a comic book creator that I don't recall the name of, who said, I got a credit for this and I don't know why. And they're like, because of this version of Deadpool you invented. And he was like, I haven't seen the movie yet, thanks for spoiling it for me. And I'm like, you asked, man. But yeah, but like a lot of comic book references of the Deadpool Corps that attacked. Lady Deadpool, you know, I really thought her mask was gonna come off and it was gonna actually be Blake Lively, but they just had an actor, like a stunt person in there. And is she physically in it as Lady Deadpool?
Lady
okay.
Deadpool. I watched the credits. I was like, I was 99% sure it was Blake Lively. I had absolutely every belief
that she's physically there.
That Ryan would want to get her in.
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Because the last superhero movie they were in wasn't that great.
That's true. Yeah.
So I believe it is physically her.
Well, that's
like
fun.
I truly believe she was like, especially with what she wore to the red carpet.
That's a good point.
I was
Okay.
like, well, she's clearly Lady Deadpool. That was spoiled for me. I knew that Lady
Mhm.
Deadpool was in it.
I knew she was in it, but I didn't know it was her.
Based on what she wore, I had put it together. I was like, it's Blake Lively.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's cool. That's not for me. That's not a spoiler.
That's not a spoiler
Because it's like, oh yeah. I mean, like, so they and they had a big spectacular fight sequence that's like all like a video game, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. It's fun. I had fun. But I was spoiled on that friggin' opening, fight was really cool.
Yeah.
A lot of needle drops in this movie.
Okay, so that's one of the things, right? Like one of the fight things. So like for me, some of the fight in the wasteland looked meh.
Yes.
Some of it looked great. And then some of the fight down the street was like, what the hell are we doing? And then some of it was like really well choreographed.
Right. Yeah.
Like, admittedly, one of my favorite fight sequences was in the Honda Odyssey.
I love that fight sequence, but the music choice made me like really pulled me out of it.
I didn't have a problem with that because I was expect like weird music.
Yeah, but it kept stopping. Like that's the problem. Is like
the car was playing
it. Yeah.
So I loved that fight though because you could tell the choreographers
had to think about it.
Yeah, they had to think about how they kept it in there. Admittedly, yes, at times the cameras they were using because they're in a tight space, I guess, weren't as it's like they weren't color graded the same. I don't know. There's something up with them.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I really liked that fight regardless.
Yep.
Also loved the ongoing joke. There's a lot of ongoing jokes in this.
Yes.
The Honda Odyssey to me is very funny.
That was
funny.
I
don't know why.
Yeah, I think
love
it's just
the
because
idea of like,
Wolverine has stakes in. He has opinions about
Deadpool.
mundane cars. Yeah.
Deadpool. Like I love the fact that Deadpool hates this car.
Yes.
But then loves it.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, so like that sequence fine. For me, I think some of what I was like mad about, but then I was like, you know what, I guess it's fine, was like Cassandra's like flip.
Yes.
Right at the end, but I was like, you know what? Based on the way she has described herself and how she's acted, like if we are going with a neutral chaos, yep, here comes chaos.
Yes,
chaos is I don't have to follow a formula.
Yeah,
I'm like, whatever, I'm doing this now.
Yeah, it was actually like, I mean, at the end of the day, it is just her being like, and then I'll destroy everything, and I'm like, another one that wants to destroy everything.
No, she's just not destroying it; she's ending it.
Yeah,
and I think there's a difference there. Like destroying it is like, ha 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 ha. This is like,
she's like,
it just won't be here anymore.
Yeah,
nothing will.
Well, and mocking me for existing.
Yeah, like I'm like, that's interesting. She's just like
it's a tired Marvel trope that has a good justification.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
And that was fine. And I liked her. Yeah, I liked her turn. I liked her use. I liked her appearance. I mean, she's just great. She's a good villain. I'd like to see her return. Or at the very least, I want to give her flowers because she's really good. The whole thing was handled well. Literal Deus Ex Machina shows up and like they have to friggin' save the day.
Yeah.
They got to hold hands as Care Bears share the problem. I'm like, yeah.
Well, that's their bromance.
Yeah.
Man.
When they said you needed to, I'm like, they're both gonna have to do it.
Yeah.
And they do, and they save the day.
And they do. Well, yeah, obviously.
And I'm like, yeah.
And then obviously his shirt comes off.
Of course.
Due to the earlier weight gain.
Yes.
Made in the movie. But I love that, and I love him like checking him out.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah. Oh. What do you think of the Wolverine mask?
I am glad everyone got it. I could have done without it.
Yeah, I loved it.
I know you did.
He pulls it on, and I'm like, oh yeah. I honestly forgot about it. Like I forgot about it until he started. I'm like, oh, that's right. It's been like an hour and a half, and he hasn't actually done it yet. And then he pulled the mask on. He kept it on, and unlike Thor's masks, like her helmets, like all that crap from that Thor movie that looked so terrible, and had that awful like what's it called, Star-Lord, nanotech.
Yeah,
him pulling it on and it staying there, the close-ups, I was like, this looks good. Like they it's clearly fake, like it's clearly CG, and I still was like, I'm okay with it.
So I feel like what happened for me is we have spent so much time with this character in this movie.
Right. Why would he wear a mask now?
No, not even just that. Like, but just visually, this is what he is.
Yeah.
And like, that is such a shift.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've also lost any connection.
With the eyes.
It's not like we started there. So like, I'm like, this is just weird. It actually, for some reason, was less weird when he lost the shirt.
Yes.
Like,
yes, I did. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because there's like a bulk that's
because he doesn't have these. He needed the shoulder pads back. He lost the shoulder pads when he got the mask on, so he didn't have the balance.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like I couldn't. when he put the mask on, everything just looked weird. It looked unbalanced, and he didn't.
It did look unbalanced.
Loses the shirt, and I'm like, oh, all right.
Now it's okay.
Now again, it could have just been I was just blinded by
his raw sexuality. Yeah, no doubt. Certainly, we all were, but I loved it. I was just happy to see it. I did. Some folks in the comments mentioned that like the eyes looked a little, like the tracking was a little off.
Yeah.
It was. Okay. Admittedly, it was off, and it didn't work 100% of the time.
Yeah.
But that was the eyes,
right.
which again, they've nailed for Deadpool and never tried with anyone else in any other movie.
Yeah.
Which frustrates me because like they all look like that in the comic books, and I've always wanted to see it. But when it works great.
Yeah.
When it doesn't work, I'm still glad they did it. I was happy with it.
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. But yeah. And then
I don't like looking at dog pool. I'm sorry.
You are not meant to. That is the most
dog
ironic.
Is meant to be everything.
It's the ugliest dog in the universe.
Yep.
In the multiverse.
Yep, I totally get it.
And I appreciate it, and I hope it's taken care of, and I hope it's happy. And I never want to see it again.
I assume that's not what that dog actually looks like.
No, it does. It's definitely, Ryan Reynolds went through like a friggin' montage of ugly dogs, then finally picked out like the most ugliest dog in the universe.
I don't know about that. Anyway, yeah, like, yep. I was like, makes sense. Here it is. Perfect.
Yeah.
Done.
But yeah. So and then they save the day and they go back to Deadpool's reality, and because they replace Logan with another variant, he becomes the new anchor being, which proves you can actually have anchor beings like replacing and stuff like that. And his timeline's restored and blah blah blah.
I assume Deadpool becomes the anchor being.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like I assumed his shift he becomes it.
He becomes the anchor being. That's fun. They don't overtly say one way or the other. I assumed that it's just like because Wolverine learns a valuable lesson, he becomes the but I like the idea. I like it better that it's him.
Yes, saving the day to Madonna is like a prayer. Perfection. Absolutely. I felt like, regardless of score, I thought there were some really great musical choices in here. There's also a character I want to talk about in a second, but since I'm on this, like I loved at the beginning during the party when he's talking with Vanessa and like everyone's around, we throw back to the first Deadpool.
They play their
and
song.
They play Just Call Me Angel. I don't know. By Juice Newton.
Yeah.
Which was like,
they played their song.
That was the opening credits.
Yes, to the first Deadpool movie.
Yeah. So I again, like that to me was like a lot of like that, like we're, going full circle with this movie in a way.
Yes. I agree. I noticed
but
that.
Like a lot of really great choice. Obviously, Ryan wanting to do a little bit of like, boy band action.
Well, that's not him in the suit when he's doing the dancing. Apparently they got some like young dancer.
I didn't think that he'd actually have done it.
I didn't think anyone did it. I thought it was CG. And I still believe it is.
No,
but like
I assume that they just
I think it was motion tracking. I think that person was really dancing, but they did motion tracking and just overlaid a CG suit.
Okay, so do you think well, sure. I mean, but that's still him dancing now.
Well, yeah. But apparently the one who did the dancing like went on Twitter and was like, "Here's me doing it." Like I
believe that.
I was like, "Cool."
But yeah, like I mean, like for like Just Dance. Those are real people.
That's true. Yeah,
like those are actual people.
Yeah, they track those people.
No, they wear the costumes.
Oh,
and they film them. They're people.
Interesting.
Anyway, yes, Psylocke was in this. She's there.
I didn't see it.
She's there. During the fight.
Yeah.
It's when X-23 has the Juggernaut helmet.
Yes.
And like is almost up to getting it.
Oh,
she's
and then
the one that takes her down.
Oh, okay, cool.
I believe, or maybe not. Maybe she takes on someone else, but she's there. It's like a jump shot kind of thing. Anyway.
Yeah.
I did see her. I did know that Psylocke was there. I can't remember who she gets, but it's like a long jumping sword sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Peter.
Yes.
Like a hilarious running gag. Sort of. I initially I was like, oh right, Peter, but like by the end I'd come full circle.
Yeah.
I come full circle on.
I'm always happy with Peter.
Like being
He's
there.
Great.
Like I was like, oh right, okay. But I like the fact that they work together. Obviously it's the worst decision ever.
Yep.
The fact that like he has a Deadpool costume. He keeps saying that we're Deadpool. And he's like, no one's Deadpool. Like I'm leaving this behind. Like we're done.
Yeah.
And again, like I think that to me supports the idea that like Deadpool thinks that the problem is, I guess, failure with Deadpool, and that's why he and Vanessa doesn't work out. And like, it's what it really is that like he wasn't doing anything for her. Like, like everything became about just him.
I think he was so focused on mattering, like on doing something important. When it's like you were like recognize, and that's thematically it also relates to the Fox universe. Like no one cared until someone threatened to put Deadpool in the MCU, and now he can matter.
Yes.
And it's like, no, it mattered because we made those movies.
Yeah.
Like, they were important.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's okay. And so it's like, the Deadpool Vanessa relationship fell apart because Deadpool started to believe the conjecture online.
Right. And I mean, there is also
metatextually speaking.
There's
like,
also the part where she died, you know.
Oh,
but then
yeah.
she doesn't, you know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So
you know, he could have been overprotective. I mean, like, I was really ready for that nonsense of like, we lost the baby, and I kept trying to focus on like protecting you, but like, no.
No, I think he just
it's just
too like
he just got wrapped up in it.
Yeah. Making like everything perfect or like changing whatever. Anyway, but like the whole Peter thing, I like that like arc with him, you know, coming around to the end with like the Deadpools.
Yeah.
You know, when he rides up on the bike, I laughed quite a bit.
Yep.
You know, I was like, immediately I was like, oh, well, I know who that is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
You know, it's a perfect solution, and it doesn't undercut the fact that they had just done this huge fight, because they have this huge fight, and then everyone gets back up.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh shit, how are they
I
gonna get out
forgot
of
we
this?
had Ryan Reynolds Deadpool.
Oh yeah. Happy Pool or whatever.
Yeah.
Good Pool. I don't remember his name.
You know,
Nice Pool.
Nice Pool.
Yeah.
And like, what an annoying. You think Deadpool's annoying, and then you meet Nice Pool, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So how is this worse? That was played. That joke was overplayed.
Yes,
and then came right back around.
That's
for me.
That Ryan Reynolds understands
like,
that joke.
He
That's the Mandela formula.
100%, especially with like being like using him as a human shield.
Yes,
I was like, okay, I get it. But then I came around completely on the other side of that joke, and I was like, nah.
Yeah,
especially with Wolverine and the dog just being like,
just yikes. Yeah, I'm just gonna use this. Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know, it all just works because, and it's that level of combining action and humor that for some reason these movies just really understand.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, yes, they just fought through all these guys, and instead of just having them do it again or
having some like thing show up to
and it's like,
them.
nope, here is like a narrative reason why they don't have to do this any longer.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Thank you for getting us out of that.
Like,
yeah.
let's just keep going. I'm like, yep, I appreciate that, regardless of, again, like sometimes some like not so great looking fight sequences.
Yep. And the post-credit scene was cute and funny. Somebody was really mad. I don't remember who it was, but like I saw somebody get really upset by how it didn't matter, and I was like, wow.
It's just nice.
That's so great that you were mad that didn't matter, because the whole movie is about that.
Yeah. No, I thought that was very, very sweet. I you know, we are often like set up as comic book fans to be waiting for the next month, waiting for the next issue so that the story can continue. And yeah, we do often look back on things, but like there is something a part of our brains that we're like, you know what, next month I get my next issue. I get the next part of the story. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And even when it comes to some of these movies, it's like, okay, I just saw this one. What's the next one?
Exactly.
Right. And so it's easy for us to start like,
it's like, well, it takes a lot more time, money, and effort to make those.
Yeah. And it's like, regardless of sometimes how we talk about things where we're just like, oh, that's not good, or we didn't necessarily like that, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I try, and I know you do too, like keep in the back of our minds that like, yeah, they spent a lot of time and effort. And, you know, when they made some of the original Fox movies, like they were making them for the times that they were in.
Yeah, like I remember reading recently, somebody was like, did you know that the suits from X-Men 1 were inspired by the success of The Matrix? And I'm like, yeah, anyone with a pulse knew that. And they were like, somebody got like really uppity about it, was like, actually, I thought they were an homage to the Grant Morrison suits. And it's like, the Grant Morrison books came out after The Matrix. They were all referring to The Matrix, man.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, but yeah, like, like people, you have to remember like when that first Fox X-Men movie came out, like people were skeptical, but when Hugh came on screen, they were like, yes.
Yeah.
Like it didn't matter.
Yeah.
People were hyped, even if it was like kind of wrong or a little different or whatever, however you want to describe it. It was like that people were ready.
Yeah.
And they were on board. And it just so happened that most people were not on board for anything other than Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
Yeah.
And Fox wasn't prepared to make like a good Cyclops movie or
right.
anything good with Phoenix. Like, you know, but yeah, so it was cool. It was a fun movie. It was about something while also delivering. and promising more. There will, they are obviously going to return.
Obviously.
There's a moment in the car, and I think it was a Ryan Reynolds moment, but I also think that it's like, I don't think I'm wrong.
Okay.
I genuinely believe that there will be a larger scale, more expensive Secret Wars version of the team we saw in The Wasteland that will consist of Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Whether that's Andrew or Toby, whoever costs less will be that Spider-Man. Honestly, I think that the smart money's on Toby, but I'll take any more Andrew that I can get.
100%.
Like,
yeah.
the smart money's on Toby. I cannot discount seeing No Way Home in the theater for the first time, and like the one or two people who literally stood up and screamed their heads off in an angry and almost violent way about seeing Tobey Maguire on screen again. But Andrew is my guy.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
The smart money is on Toby, but I understand. Yeah. But there's a moment in the car where like Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool just literally goes, pew, 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 pew.
Yeah.
And Hugh doesn't say, "What are you doing?" He's just like, "Stop that."
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you know? Like, because I'd like to see I want to see a reality that is essentially a retcon that says, what if all the studios had their druthers? Like,
right.
What if there is a universe where they all lived in one place?
Right. Yeah.
So that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, with this movie's success, the sky is the limit.
Yes.
But also, I did think it was a little loose. Now, obviously, because of the writer's strike, they only could use what they had in certain periods.
Yes.
But the movie was successful regardless of any flaws that could be found for this movie. Whether you loved it or hated it, the movie fucking succeeded.
It succeeded.
And
100%.
so this is gonna be, and it's one of the most successful MCU movies since Endgame.
Yeah, in
a
minute.
And that isn't owned by Sony.
Yes.
So they're gonna lean into it.
Sure.
So Secret Wars is gonna be this, but bigger, with Doom in it.
Right. And I mean, like, they could just be like, let's do like a mini Endgame.
Yes, but with all the franchises.
Yes.
Or not. I honestly,
or
I don't
make a joke about it, especially if Deadpool is there.
Well, if Deadpool's there, who knows? But this movie,
like, I tried to get some guys, but
yeah. I honestly, in this case, I think that like the power structure in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is about to change.
Interesting. Okay.
To quote The Rock,
yeah.
I genuinely do believe that like whatever their ideas were about what Secret Wars was going to be when Kang Dynasty was on the docket, are gone or are enhanced. If they were like, yeah, and I think it'd be cool to have like Wolverine, Deadpool, and like maybe a Spider-Man show up in the movie. Like, this movie completely shook that monkey tree. So I don't know. I'm excited.
Me too.
I like this movie. And I did have some issues with it, but not enough for me to say I didn't like it. And not enough for me to feel like it was a disappointment.
I also, I really liked it more so than I thought I might. I knew I'd enjoy it because I like these two actors. And
they know what they're doing.
I like, exactly. So I knew regardless of, story and all that and where we ended up, I was going to have a nice ride. But what I really appreciated about it was that it didn't end up being a vehicle for the next phase. Because I think that has been an issue with MCU movies recently, where they're, instead of the movie about the characters and the story they want to tell, it's a movie trying to get us to like, the next big thing for us. Okay, who cares about these characters? Let's get to the next big thing. This movie was like, here's the thing. We're in the thing. Here is it. And like, I don't know if that's the lesson they're going to take away from it, but that definitely is the lesson. It's like, tell the story about the characters. Yeah. And then eventually the big thing happens. Right. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But it's and the other thing is, I don't think Sean Levy is a very good director. Okay, well, but that was why I was mostly concerned. Yeah, I get you. I don't like the Adam Project, but he did a good job. Yeah, they all did a good job, and delivered. I think everybody did a very nice job. Well, especially, and at the end of the day, Hugh Jackman was great. Yeah. That's the other thing. Hugh Jackman was fantastic. Hugh Jackman was incredible. He was a welcome return. I missed him. I liked him. I'm glad that he was excited about it. I don't think it undercut Logan at all. He played a different Wolverine and did it, to satisfaction. Yes. But yeah, so I was thrilled about that. Everybody succeeded. So yay. Congratulations, everybody. Good job with Deadpool.
I liked it. So with that in mind, I guess we're done.
Yeah, I think we had a couple super chats.
We do. We have quite a few actually. So
Oh, no.
before we go, we should address the super chats in the room. Let's see here.
We did that one.
We did.
Yep, we did that one. We did that one. Did that one. Hang on.
There it is.
No, I don't think we did this one.
We did.
We did Space Phantom?
We did this one and this one.
We did that one?
Yes, we did that one.
We did this one?
Yep, we did.
I don't think so.
We did.
Okay.
Nick Smythe, I got to go to the New York premiere, and besides accidentally tripping over Daphne Keene, I loved it. That's great. I'm glad you.
That's a good story, though.
Right? Exactly. She's so cool. Doc says Kelly Thompson has become my new favorite writers as of recently. What books or comic runs would you recommend? Oh man, well, Birds of Prey, she's writing right now, is great. And also her Black Widow is great. I
also liked her Mr. and Mrs. X, Rogan Gambit.
Yeah, which I don't remember which one it is, but it's the one with Rogan Gambit that she wrote.
I think she did both.
I think you're right. I don't recall. I know that whatever it was, she will not be doing any more Marvel for a while.
Right. But that means that you can look forward to her absolute Wonder Woman.
Oh my God. I cannot wait.
Right? I know.
It's going to be great.
I know.
Just from the art alone, which of course you recognize the art from who?
Dark Spaces Dungeon. It's Hayden Sherman.
Yeah. Crate says, I was surprisingly moved at the closure from some Fox got to have. I think I was more invested in 2's plot, but I was entertained by this one. Yeah, okay. I think that's fair.
That's interesting.
Cam, I feel you, Sal. Furiosa took place in a wasteland and every locale is gorgeous and vibrant. It can be done. Yeah, well, the thing is, with all those like wasteland areas, like in Marvel, they ain't there. With Furiosa, they're in the desert. And George Miller has like a very distinct visual style. Like for him, it's all about visuals. Perhaps
they have tested in what when you're thinking of like the big airport sequence that you described as the big gray airport.
Yeah.
The issue is we're supposed to be watching the colorful characters.
Yeah, I know.
And if you can't see them because they're moving too fast or whatever, then people are going to complain about that. So.
Sure, yeah, but not me. Surreal. Off topic, but are you guys also worried about the fact that they have now moved the Amalgam Omnibuses twice? Do you think they'll ever get released? Yeah, they moved the Amalgam Omnibus release from I think May or June to August to October. I have been told not to worry about it.
Okay. Yeah,
not by
I don't think that you should worry about it.
Yeah. Was it you who told me that?
Yes.
Yeah. What's your point?
My point is that it takes a lot to make books, and you never know if it has something to do with if they're being printed outside of the country, then it could be customs are an issue. It could be paper, any sort of thing. Sort of thing. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Don't worry about it.
I have no information.
Yeah. No, we don't. We have no information about that. Bruce Cartilage says, as someone who was born in 2003, Hugh has literally been Wolverine my whole life. So seeing him in the mask finally was a life moment. Also, Deadpool versus Wolverine as AC/DC plays. Yes, thank you. I agree. And you know what? I bet it was a deliberate choice to make it AC/DC because, of course, AC/DC plays for Iron Man. So it could be a way of being like, nostalgia. Hey, this is our guy. This is our music.
Yeah.
Kingsport Cal, in your opinion, is the MCU back beyond a cell? Well, I said it's dying. So I don't think so. But here's the thing.
I meant from this movie.
Marvel Studios is back. But this movie ain't the MCU. This movie is these guys.
It's MCU
and
ancillary.
Fox. It is MCU adjacent.
Well, I mean, if Loki is MCU,
yeah, I like Loki.
Then this is because
right, because it's all connected. Yeah, but they don't represent the future of the MCU.
Right.
Pama Jam. There's technically 2 divorce jokes in this movie. Ryan's he's gained weight since the divorce line to Hugh, and Hugh's divorced. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh. Mordecai, definitely not the same Russian actor. Kevin Nash, definitely not in great condition to do a fight scene in his age. He's also retired. Yeah, he seemed a little old in Punisher, and I think that was in 2003.
But I think it is supposed to be the Russian, though.
Right. Oh, okay, cool. Yay, I'm glad. And Somber Shadow. So there were cameos that didn't speak. The Russian, which played by the same actor. Okay, maybe not. A variant of Bullseye there as well. There was also a variant of Psylocke and a variant of Callisto from X2.
Yeah.
There we go. Secret Boss. Are you looking forward to the Thunderbolts movie? I am. I am. I hope it's good. Allie, horror is way too personal of a genre to really trust anyone's opinion, but Tiffany gives great recommendations that really resonate with me. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, but I agree wholeheartedly.
Oh, it is very.
Like that's why I love that there is so many different varieties of horror, because it doesn't always hit, and I think that's why Junji Ito has such a good track record, because he tells so many different styles of horror. Like a lot of it is body horror, but it's not always.
Yeah,
it's not always. So like I think that's why he's able to have such a large fan base, because a lot of his short stories come from a different perspective.
And Crate says, I agree with Sal about the great terrain. Take Guardians 3 hallway fight, for example. That was such a good looking scene. That was on an interesting hallway, or Harley's flower trip. The flower scene was great. But that's just playing with color. That's just like, it's not the same thing as like, you have a bunch of action figures against like a CGI background. If you ever saw in the back behind the scenes, you get a lot of green.
Right.
They had to make it all from whole cloth. And I think you're right about the fact that like they need to be set apart from the backgrounds.
The airport sequence in particular, though, you have, first of all, try to come up with a reason why the airport's colorful.
It doesn't have to be colorful, but like it's more about the house style for Marvel, right?
Sure,
now.
but like the fact is, like that particular set piece had to deal with street fighting, flying, and a giant human being.
No, you're right.
Like it has to do all these things, so it's like, okay,
yeah,
keep it simple.
Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah. Well, also in the end game fight, it's all just gray, but it has to be because everything's wrecked.
Well, because it's like the end of the world.
I think that's actually thematically it makes more sense, because like it's like what they're preventing from happening. But yeah, so we want to thank the super chatters for sponsoring today's show. Thank you to the chat for being cool and respectful and awesome, and of course thank you to my lovely co-host for making this show possible. Thank you, Tiffany. Of course, Tiffany is not just a great co-host for this, she also hosts her own video game streams on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, twitch.tv/ComicPop and youtube.com/ComicPop Plays. They both are streaming simultaneously, so depending on your poison, you can watch those streams yourself, without any interruptions. What's it called? Just some Mexican with a mustache. The mid credits had such a lovely tribute to the past Marvel movies. Also, Deadpool is still responsible for Johnny's death. That's true. Yeah, no, he is, but at least Johnny did say it. Which is awesome. Yeah. Great, like a throwback almost to Not Another Teen Movie, which is Chris Evans' third best performance. Carl Maxey, Blade technically started the MCU. He sure did, and we never will not acknowledge that. But yeah, watch Tiffany on twitch.tv/ComicPop. What are you playing?
Marvel Rivals.
Marvel Rivals is back, and you are in
beta. People have already found, they've introduced Jeff the Landshark.
Yes,
in it, and they've already found a way that Jeff has broken the game. And apparently, there's also a way to break the game using Doctor Strange. They have a lot to do.
Well, remember I showed you that thing they did?
No, something else.
Oh no,
there's something else that they can do now.
Are you doing it?
No, I haven't had even a chance to play with them. But like, hey, listen, last time around we had a giveaway for a Steam key. It turns out it was for PC only. The person was very magnanimous and said like, hey, listen, I can't use that, so we still have that key. Join me tomorrow. If you are playing on PC, I will be giving away
a stream
key for it.
Or a game key.
A game key for PC. Please come by. I would love to share it with someone. I feel like everyone should have a chance, because beta is great. It's a fantastic opportunity to get in, to help the people making this game feedback, or give them feedback. They have surveys out there, and they're obviously trying to stress test it and figure out the bugs to it before they put it out there. So please do that.
That's right.
When do I start streaming? Usually between 5:30 and 6. It's over on Twitch and on YouTube.
Yeah, so like Off the Rack.
Yep, 100%.
But thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and we'll see you guys next time with another episode. Of course, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys next time. Stay tuned on youtube.com/ComicPop for a new episode of Back Issues and more here on ComicPop Returns. So long, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.